Good morning, everyone. Happy Saturday to you all. We got a great show today. We really, really do. Ton of news coming out of the XFL and USFL, the merger. Big NFL news as far as playoff push is coming to an end and the playoffs are approaching. On top of that, the New Year's Six bowl games have started. So it's time to talk some football. It's the Gridiron, baby. Let's go. Good morning, and happy Saturday to everyone. Welcome to the Gridiron Podcast Show. I am your host, Jersey the King. Our co-host, Gabe, is off today. He has to work, so he will not be on the show today. But, of course, he's here with us in spirit. Yes, sir. Hit, starting your crap. Good morning, Sandy. Welcome in, love. Hit, we already know you hate the Cowboys, but you live in Texas. Makes no sense, but it's all right. What's going on, Jarvis? Welcome in, brother. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate everybody watching on both YouTube and Facebook. And like I said, we have a great show for you today. A lot of news. So let's get into it. We do not have a topic of the week this week, but we do have fan mail. So as I said last week, it's not going to be a super long show. It's actually not going to be a super long show today. So sit back, relax, and let's enjoy the Gridiron, man. Now, let's start off with this merger news. This is big. And the reason why I say it's big is because the league is planning to announce a huge announcement about the merger being finalized, or the final information basically needed for the merger is what I'm hearing. So this week, or should I say this weekend, it's a better way to put it. This weekend is very, very pivotal for the XFL and the USFL and just spring football in general. They're planning on making an announcement before the games tomorrow. So we're talking 9 a.m. pregame show. Yes, Sandy, you're right. It is probably something we've already figured out. And Flame, welcome in, brother. Appreciate you being here. No worries. From what I'm hearing, the Vipers will be back in 2025. So a year without the Fan Gang Nation show, it's not gonna kill us. I hope you guys are doing very well this morning. I'm actually going to go ahead and give me 1 second, y'all, because I gotta bring in my boy. I didn't think I was gonna have a special guest today, but looks like I am. So give me 1 second, guys. I gotta go over here to Twitter or X, whatever we want to call it. But yeah, this news, here we go. Sorry about this, y'all. Had to send out this link. My bad, y'all. My bad. But yeah, there's some big news. So supposedly, let's just get right into it. Supposedly, the merger announcement, like the finalization of the merger, is being announced tomorrow before the NFL kicks off its games. So we're talking pregame show, 8 o'clock 9 o'clock in the morning, that they're going to be dropping the finalized news of the merger being completed and finalized, and then future announcements supposedly coming soon about everything else. Now, yes, we do have a special guest today. Sorry about that. David, welcome in. David Erdy, my guy. We go at it. Me and David, we go at it on these Facebook groups and these different posts and stuff. But David, you're a great guy, man. Thank you for being here. Hit says, if it ain't major news on merger, I can say I honestly don't care. If it's something y'all knew already, then it is what it is. No, it's actually something we didn't know already. Sea Dragon's official Facebook page shared the announcement tomorrow. Is that a hint? Yes, we are getting an announcement tomorrow. And to help me break this news to everyone from the X Fan Show, X Fan Legion, the one, the only, the man, the myth, the legend.
Appreciate it, brother.
Speculate. H.
What's up, man? How you
What's going
doing?
on, brother? How you doing this morning?
I'm wonderful. Thank you so much, man, for having me on.
I appreciate you being here. With Gabe not being here, it kind of helps, get this
Ah,
announcement out.
hey, when you said that he was, I was like, wait, let me help my boy out, man. At least help him out a bit. You know what I'm saying? So it's
Yes,
like, let me
sir.
go ahead. Hey, what's going on, Sandy? Good seeing you now. Yeah, but uh, you know, it's here.
Yeah,
You know what I
it's
mean?
official that an announcement is coming tomorrow. We can say that. Dave Dykman actually posted it on his Twitter page saying with the little eyeball emojis and it's a big announcement literally for the USFL and the XFL. It says it on the little posts and everything. You guys have noticed it on
Yeah.
X. So I don't know. To answer that question, David, I don't know. There's too much speculation on who the teams are going to be.
That's the thing. You don't know.
Exactly.
Don't know.
We can sit here and speculate all we want. We can sit here as fans and hope. But we do know for sure my biggest Vipers.
You think they
Gotta
gone,
wait.
man? You
They gotta
actually
wait
thinking
another
that?
year. They gotta wait another year. I really believe they have to wait until 2025.
Yep. I think they're
And
just going to wait a little bit. That's all.
and I think that's what they're going for. And one thing that has been talked about a lot, A Train and you and I both know this has been spread around. They're possibly in the future, maybe next season, as early as next season, we'll say the 2025 season, the league, once the merge is finalized and everything, could be looking to get local investors for these teams.
Yeah. Very
Now,
much so.
with that, would the future of spring football actually have a future?
Um, instead of it being a single entity, now you're getting these investors and you're getting owners. You want owners into this league. You want that, but do you
Hmm.
want it? So, you know, that's what's the key here. Are they going to take this seriously? Do they want this? Because you got to remember the old USFL. Some owners got greedy. They
Hmm.
wanted to match up against the NFL. And they were a spring football league. What's that going to entail? So that is kind of, what that rumor is and what that speculation, that we love to say so much. Um,
Right.
that's going to be the key. What if they do add owners into this mix? What is that going to entail?
Definitely. And that's a key. That's a key looking into the future of this league. If they
Yeah.
bring in local investors or team owners, will these team owners go the same route the USFL did back in the 80s, which eventually collapsed them? Trying to compete against the biggest football entity out there in all
Hmm.
of the world, that's a tall that's a tall task. That's a tall order to ask. You know what I mean?
Right. So if you can't do it in 1986, what makes you think you can do it in 2024?
1930. Exactly.
What makes you can do it? Makes you think that you can do it now? Like they're stronger, and I mean
Mhm.
what I mean by that is the NFL is stronger, and they're willing, to kind of let this slide. Being in the spring, they're cool with that. But
Yeah.
you try to go against them, you'll be like the United Football League of 2009 to 2012. You'll go right back in the crap where it was before. So,
Exactly.
so
Exactly.
no, that's why you don't mess. You don't mess with, the head honchos of football, professional football. So,
Definitely. Now, do you agree with what Flame says here? I believe if we do get owners, they will need to set up a salary cap.
of course they would. That's part of a professional football league with owners. You're going to have to set a salary somewhere,
Exactly. Good morning,
and
Kevin.
and then it's going to lead to more lawyers into this mix again. So,
Yep.
more agents and of course, like with Flame Wingman said, you don't need another mishap like the USFL did. But I think that this spring league that they're about to embark on, I know in the beginning stages of it, not happy. I wasn't. But the more that we keep getting bits and pieces of the information and seeing what could happen for the future, it actually looks like it could actually work out,
I
and
agree.
it could go longer than what we expected. I was gonna go a year, maybe 2 years or so. But it goes back to saying, if they do this right, then it can succeed. But if they, get greedy and all that kind of crazy crap within it, and I, that's what's gonna wind up happening.
Yeah.
I really wish that they didn't get the NFL's backing on it, but it was necessary.
Yeah.
Because I always felt like a league like this, but you have to remember, many of if not a vast majority of the personnel are all people from the NFL,
Yep.
had some type of NFL tie to it. So there's that.
And then I think bringing in the NFL too soon could put the league in a situation to where, in my opinion, now you're under the league's thumb. And I think that would kill the league before it really gets to get back off the ground and try and have a future. I think leaving it to where it's separate, NFL and NSFL, UFL, whatever name they're going to go with the spring league, I think trying to keeping them separate would work out better for the future of spring football.
I'm gonna put it to you like this. Joe McClendon better get himself together for this, because if he didn't keep those, if he didn't keep the name that he had before, it's gonna be a bigger problem come now.
Now, do you agree with Sandy that the owners bringing in owners could mess it up, or do you feel how I feel bringing in owners could actually bring in more money for these different teams?
Which is true, but a lot of times owners that want in on it, they're gonna want an ROI. They want a return of their investment.
Right.
And so if they're gonna put their money in it, they're gonna have to get something back. If not, they can have any chance they have lots of chances to ruin what has been built up. So at this rate, not right now, let the league grow. They believe in single entity. That's what was heading with these spring leagues in the past, and I'm starting to understand it a bit more these days, just a little
Right.
bit. I'm not getting too deep into it, but I'm like, now let's let the league grow. Let's let it let's let it go, and so that way more cities can get involved, and they can have professional football in their respective cities. You know, cities like Memphis and Birmingham that don't have NFL squads, St. Louis, of course, you know, they can get more into this type of league, because they keep getting overlooked by the NFL. They're going to continue to keep getting overlooked by the NFL, unfortunately. So, um, Vegas was a city at one point, but now they have the Raiders. So that's where we're at this point. Okay. Let's see. David says about owner Hurst from Seattle. People saying the Sounders ownership group just bought the OL Reign and are interested in the Sea Dragons. Lumen Treble. they're just gonna have to sit pat for right now. It's
Yeah.
just gonna be a single entity league as we going into 2024.
Hit.
Or
But
I
I
will
get
say
it.
this. I will say
I
this
get
more
what
like the
you're saying.
NBA taking the big three.
That that's
That's
where I
what
was gonna go with that one. Definitely.
it's like
Definitely.
NBA taking the big three from them, man.
What's going on, Javier? He says, "Good afternoon, gentlemen. How are we doing today? Are we going to have a big reveal by tomorrow?" Yes, we are. That is the
I don't think Fox Sports playing around with this one, dude.
that's the wave we're on right now. If we
I
all
don't
stay
think
on this wave, I think we're going to have a nice surf tomorrow with this
I don't
news that we're getting. What's
I
going
don't
on,
think
Pip?
Fox Sports is playing around with this one, man. Like,
I don't either.
especially if you got the
David,
different leagues retweeting it too. So
exactly. That's my thing. When I seen the NFL and members from the NFL and Adam Schefter, when Adam Schefter speaks on it, you gotta believe it. You gotta take it for what it is. He is the guy. So if Adam Schefter's talking about it, I'm gonna go ahead and run with that one. David says, on a different expansion note, the 49ers ownership group bought Leeds United and want to buy more teams. Would they be able to buy an expansion team in the Bay? Perhaps let's say the Demons, or would the NFL not allow that? Um,
I thought it was always up to whoever is in the stadium.
I thought that too. Not even going to lie to you. I thought that too. And I thought it would be more of a, if this ownership group wants to buy a team in another league, the NFL shouldn't be able to stop them.
Yeah, especially if it's not competing against them.
Because let's be real. Is spring football really competing with the NFL?
And that's the thing. It never was supposed to compete. It's never supposed to compete with them because you're in the spring, they're in the fall. It'd be
Exactly.
different. Like like the whole ordeal with WWE and AEW. Why they considering that there is a competition between the two? It's not. They're on different nights, granted at the same time. So they're not competing against each other at all.
Right.
So that's the thing that people, got to understand. Spring, fall, no competition. They're not trying to compete with them. At least that's how it's being presented. They don't want to. This is about getting players together to get an opportunity to potentially play in the NFL. I hate it, but that's what they're trying to do.
Exactly. Oh, I don't know what they're doing over here. Don't mind the loud noise. I don't know what's going on back there, but no, they're doing some work on an apartment behind mine.
Okay.
Sandy, this is to answer this question. You say, why would the NFL have a decision on what's not part of the NFL? Because it's the NFL. It's the NFL. The NFL
Basically.
can have, like, honestly, the NFL has decisions on things that we don't even know they have decisions on things about. And it's crazy. Oh my God. Thank you. But no, no, it's really crazy if to think about it. Like the NFL really has their hands in a bunch of different things that we're not even aware of.
Right.
You know what I mean? So what's going on, champ? Welcome in, brother. It says it's a mealtime already. No, it's just the conversation. I know what you're talking about, but no, it's the conversation. He also says hearsay, hearsay. I'm over it at this point. My main focus is things that are things that are set in stone, like college football and NFL. College football isn't even set in stone right now. I'm gonna tell you, and the reason why is because they don't even know what the hell they're doing next year with the Pac-12. So, so
They're
they
they're ever
don't know
changing.
what they're doing. Yeah, they're still trying to figure out how they're going to get everything together, get their playoff format reformatted and done correctly to where its teams aren't getting cheated. But that's another conversation for later on in the show. But when it comes to this spring league, guys, we have what we like to call a big tall glass of milk waiting to be drank. And we are, as a collective, the drinkers of
Yeah.
that glass of milk. In the USFL and XFL, the news that they're presenting to us is that glass of milk. Are we going to drink it without getting that sour face? Because there are with what we're getting all this information that we're getting, we are getting an announcement tomorrow, New Year's Eve, before the NFL slate starts. So, with that being said, are we going to be excited about the news that we get? Are some of us going to be disappointed? Are a lot of us going to be mad? There's no telling. There honestly is no telling, for the simple fact that we haven't got a full disclosure in an announcement form from the league itself. All we've gotten is USFLPA statements. We've gotten players leaking information somewhat. We've also had what we like to call the dirty speculation. And that's what
I'm
it's
sick
been
of it. I'm sick
from
of it.
everywhere. I don't give a
Sick of
damn if you're Mike Mitchell, Greg
I'm sick
Parks,
of it.
James Larson,
Sick of it.
Jersey the King, A Train, Daddy Ed,
Sick of
the
it.
crew from Horns 4. It does not matter who it is.
I'm sick of
All
it.
we're doing is speculating and hoping. We don't know. We don't know exactly what's going to come until tomorrow and the upcoming weeks. Now, I was speaking with A Train before the show, and is it safe to say that there's a draft announcement for January 5th? Is that correct?
It's safe to say that's been out there on the interwebs. So, but the fun part is tomorrow, 9 a.m. in the Pacific, 11 in the Central, 12 in the East. That's what the fun part's going to be.
Yep. So
Because
we
if
just have
Fox
to watch.
Sports, like I said, if Fox Sports say we have a big announcement, putting it on social media, putting it on Twitter or put it on Facebook or whatever, it's something pretty
It's
big.
pretty big.
Now, okay, what he's talking about, well, the USFL PA and UFPA, they were trying to, at least the UFPA, President Kenneth Farram was trying to indicate or let everybody know that they weren't working with the steel workers. They were done. It had nothing to do with the USFL. I think the confusion came because they were thinking that both leagues were working with them. They were. It's just that the United Football Players Association was not. They stopped. Well, the CJAC and sharing it is because they're part of the league.
Yep.
And
Every
here's
team
my
still is part of the league technically because
here's
we
my
don't
part of yeah, here's my part of speculation. The teams that do not become a part of these eight, they're still going to be around. You're just going to have to wait a little longer to get them. That's it.
Mhm.
I think as time progresses, and that means from everybody, you have to watch the league. You got to. You got to watch the league. And it might be a distant memory. You might not see your favorite players that you saw, but
Yep.
it's not the end for them. It's just a pause. It's just a hiatus. But
And that's
that's
the
where
good.
we come in. We have to come in and watch the product. So and that's the crazy thing, Jersey. What is the product going to look like?
That's what I'm interested in seeing,
That's all I really care about at this point. We can
especially
get the
since
teams or whatever.
I possibly may not have a team to root for. Now I have to just root for the league.
So let me ask you this, Jersey. Would you mind seeing if what is being speculated is truth? If four if four US see now it's get even more crazier. So they won't even do it now. I was gonna think that those XFL cities would have in their home stadiums, they would play XFL rules, and then the USFL would play the USFL rules in their home stadiums. That way you keep both, but also it might cause a little bit of confusion
Yeah, it would.
because remember in XFL stadiums you would have to play 1 point, 2 point, 3 point extra points, while in USFL you have to play NFL style rules. So and then they kept a couple of the options, I think, from the XFL and used them for the USFL. So it would be a little bit confusing.
Yeah. To this point, David, we don't know what the hell's going on. I've been saying this since the announced intend to merge, when that whole announcement was made. I've been saying this. It's going to take a while because if they had everything set in stone, they wouldn't have announced an intent to merge. They would have said, hey, the USFL and the XFL is merging. Not there's an intent, but there's an actual merge happening. If that would have been announced back in August, September, when we got the announcement of them possibly intending to merge, if it would have just been a full, hey, the XFL and the USFL are going to merge. Right now, we're just taking the time to etch out all the details, get everything set in stone, get everything set up the right way, and then we're going to give you an announcement with everything. They didn't do it that way. And the reason why is because at the last minute, the XFL went to the USFL and said, hey, we didn't make the money that we thought we were going to make. We didn't have the success that we thought we were going to have. And from what we're seeing, two separate spring leagues competing with each other, neither one of us are going to last. Let's make this league one big league, and we have a better chance of surviving in the future. So the problem with us speculating, what's going on, Russ? Welcome in. The problem with us speculating on what teams are going to be in, what stadiums these teams are going to play at, who's going to provide uniforms, who's going to do this, who's going to do that. All we can do is speculate because we don't know. And honestly, when it comes to the whole tax issue and things like that, I'm going to tell you one thing. Fox Sports, they're not going to bullshit you around. They're not going to say, hey, there's a big announcement coming and it'd be some BS hype video. It's not going to happen. They're making a real announcement tomorrow. If Fox Sports, and you got to remember who owns the USFL, Fox Sports. So if Fox is making an announcement and Fox is posting this on their Twitter and their social media pages and their actual website, you got to believe that there's a real announcement coming. Not just, hey, we're going to play this hype video, get ready for the new National Spring Football or get ready for the new United Football League. They're not going to do that. They're going to give us a real announcement. It's going to be huge news tomorrow. I guarantee you that.
I would not be surprised if it was a hype video plus the announcement, or the announcement then the hype video. I don't think when Fox goes big, that network has been for the last 35 years, 36 years or so. Since they started, all they wanted to be was big.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I mean, brief history around it. When they were known as the fourth network, nobody took them seriously. But now that they have the NFL package and stuff, come on, man, the last 30 years, they've been taken pretty seriously when it comes to sports.
Hell,
So,
they've even partnered up with Disney. I mean, come on now. Fox and Disney, the two biggest television entities out there, in
so
my
that
opinion.
means as we sitting here, Fox and ESPN are back together again for another edition of some XFL. So that means ABC is going to be back into play. That means FS1 on cable is back into play. This was 2020.
Hopefully FX is out. Because
I would,
I
I would.
couldn't imagine watching football games on FX. It was just so hard to like really say, oh, check out that XFL game coming on FX tonight. It's like not
See, and
Fox, not NBC.
the thing with that was the reason why you had to play some games on FX because of the scheduling of what was on ESPN and ABC. So you needed another outlet to make sure that these games were able to come on. And so FX wasn't a problem. It's just that people would even forgot what FX was. Like if
Mm.
people had knew what FX was prior, A lot of people knew what FX was prior to this, and they'd be like, "Why would they put it on a movie channel or something that has it's always sunny in Philadelphia?" You know,
Yeah,
if that was like highly known beforehand, and it's in a bunch of households, they just didn't know it was there.
yeah. Now let's
It-
catch up on some of these comments real quick because
yeah,
I'm interested in what a lot of people are saying. Champ says, "Can Las Vegas get the gamblers and Portland get the Vipers?"
I wouldn't mind it.
No. This is why they won't do that, because Portland had the Breakers back in the 80s. So
That's true.
why move them from New Orleans to Vegas instead of moving them back to Portland, where Portland needs a football team? There's not one in the NFL. There's a fan base out there for football. It could work. You bring the Breakers back to Portland, you have that Portland base, and you have another West Coast team. Move the Gamblers if the Gamblers aren't going to be a team. Move the Gamblers to Oakland and bring back the Oakland Invaders. If you want to build
Oh,
the West Coast up,
oh,
bring back the Oakland Invaders. Move the Gamblers to Oakland and bring back the Invaders. Hell,
oh.
move them to Denver and bring back the Denver Gold.
If you want to go that close out west, yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah,
Because at the end of the day, we need more West Coast teams.
right. And that's I think it was
Because
one of the comments. I think Sandy had just put that out there. I don't understand why some of the teams couldn't be out west.
and that's the main thing. You know, or like David says, yeah, but we wouldn't have a team west of San Antonio, and that's half the country. And you're absolutely right.
Correct.
You're
You're not
absolutely right.
you're not lying. Because if I'm not mistaken, the USFL didn't have a team out west.
All the teams for the USFL were East Coast and Midwest.
And the reason why, and it's gonna be so this is gonna sound so bad. And I'm not trying to disrespect anybody on the West Coast. They look at television schedules, they look at the East and the Midwest, the Central Time Zone, bigger than anything. The
Yep.
West Coast, you get the games early, like beyond any other. So when we get prime time, y'all still are in afternoon drive.
Yep.
So that's what you have to go by the television schedules too. So unfortunately for West Coast, when y'all getting games at 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the evening, y'all trying to get home.
Yeah.
And then, not to mention, when the games are on Saturday or Sunday and they're afternoon games, they're in the morning. So that's what I'm saying. Like that's why, and the expense to fly out to those cities, those are costly.
Definitely.
That's what they're doing right now. They're trying to build enough within the East and Central time zones first to build their audience, then move out west. If you look at the histories of Major League Baseball, it took a long time for them to get out west.
Yeah.
Took 60 years to get out west.
And now look at the West Coast of baseball.
It got to take time. Time matters here.
Yep. Definitely. Thank you,
So,
DJP. Welcome in. Thank you for that comment. And you're right. Time matters because, like you said, if the time zones plays an important factor, scheduling plays an important factor, TV scheduling plays an important factor, travel plays an important factor. One thing I do like is they're getting rid of the hub system from what we're hearing. Every
and
team
that,
is going
yeah,
to have a field to play at. And I think that's why we may only get the 8 teams at first, because money talks and BS walks. And if you don't have enough money to pay these guys you're renting, because you got to remember, the USFL and the XFL teams are renting these stadiums to play at, to say, hey, this is our home field. So you got to imagine the cost of the rent. That's the thing. You got to imagine the cost of the rent for 16 teams to have their own field to play at. So I get why we would lose half the teams in the first season, see how the first merged season goes, see how much money can be made, what type of return on investment can be made. Even though I keep saying It takes money to make money, and you can't expect a huge turn on investment after your first year. But if they do it right, they can make a decent return on investment and set the league up for so much success for the future.
All right. And also remember when when they did the AFL and of course they had the merge, it took 10 years to get 10 teams.
Mm-hmm.
I get it that we're in a different time frame now, but it's going to take some time to get new teams involved. You have to get to your audience first.
Mm-hmm.
And remember the AFL, they were really, really deep into the time scheduling with the East and the Central time zones.
Right.
Granted, the West did get involved. You got teams like Denver, if you want to throw Kansas City, Oakland, when they got into the mix, that's when, they start hitting their stride. So you have to remember these television schedules are key
Yeah.
to getting that product out. And so, yes, I understand that, David. Dallas to DC is 3 hours, and Dallas to Seattle is 4. You got to also remember it may not be the cost, but also scheduling.
Yeah.
And having a hub city like Arlington for where they can train, that's going to be key. It's
Then you
centrally
gotta
located.
and then you gotta think of, yeah, it may not cost a lot for one person or two people to travel from Dallas to DC, or from Seattle to Dallas, or from Seattle to DC. But when you got 53 football players, plus the coaching staff, plus the medical training staff, plus referees, plus product or production managers and
Broadcast
personnel,
teams.
broadcast team, the whole nine, cameramen, and just imagine how many tickets now we're looking at to
That you got
provide,
to purchase. Exactly. And if they
because the league
see,
isn't going to force these individuals to buy their own tickets. That's stupid. So the league is paying for this. So that cost does start to grow. It does start to get a little heavy in their pockets, and they're like, what if we take this down to 8 teams? That's less personnel to worry about putting on flights. That's less players to worry about putting on flights. That's what's less production crew, less this, less that, less everything. And it gives them a chance to really, and like Daddy Ed says, charter flights are expensive, and these players and personnel are getting put on charter flights. They're not getting put on a regular airline. They're getting put on,
exactly.
not, I won't say regular airline, but regular flights. They're getting put on expensive ass charter flights. So that cost 53. Remember, 53 players on the team, coaching staff, personnel,
Yep.
production company,
Yep.
or production personnel, broadcast team, cameraman. I mean, we could just go on and on how many people have to have tickets paid for these games.
And we're
And like
talking
I like
too.
what, and you see what I'm saying? And I like what Hit says here. Look how wrestling was. It was mostly all in the one central spot, but then they realized there are people elsewhere who are willing to see matches and buy tickets, so they started to expand. And that's when you got every market of the United States started getting wrestling promotions all over the country. It's the same thing with football. If you put out a product on just one side of the country, eventually it's going to make it to the other side, because eventually the league is going to realize, hey, there's a lot of people over on this West Coast that want some spring football league teams. So they're thinking of, trust and believe, they're thinking about it. But why try and make a money move like that so fast when that could ultimately kill the product all in all?
Right.
Take your
Right.
time, set everything up. You know what I mean? It's like putting a puzzle together. You have to start off with the border. The easiest way. You start off with the border, then you work your way in. They're doing the same thing. Their border is these 8 or 10 teams, however many they're going to start with. That's their border. And then they're going to start moving to the inside of that puzzle and build that puzzle up to complete it over the next few years. We just got to be patient. That's all it comes down to, guys. We have to be patient and understand that they're looking at it not from just, well, they're not looking at it from a fan's perspective whatsoever. Let's just
Yeah,
let's just put it out there. They're looking at it from a business perspective, and they're looking at their business proposition and they're like, okay, this ain't gonna work with 16 teams right away. You know what I mean? It's not gonna work with 16 teams right away. So let's see what is the best way to get this working with a full 8 teams who are going to be playing in their local markets, which everyone was so ramped up about. No, they need to get rid of the hub system. They need to get rid of the hub system. Well, they're doing it. From what we're being told, they're doing it. So now we just have to be patient that there's not going to be 16 teams because that's the inevitable right now. They're not
right.
going to start off with 16 teams, but that doesn't mean there won't be 16 teams eventually in this league. Hell, that doesn't even mean that there won't be 32 teams eventually to match the NFL if that's a road that they're going to take. Hey, we want to end up being a full-time developmental league for the NFL. You know what I mean? If that's what they're trying to get accomplished, it's going to take some years. Sorry, but we're not, as fans, sitting here and selling out every single game.
Correct.
We're not, as fans, going in and filling up these stadiums. It's on us too. We can't sit here and get mad at them for being business minded.
And for those that do not get into the league, I know there was a comment about it was upsetting that half the league is being cut. What's going to happen to them? That is going to be, think about it, how arena leagues keep folding, right?
Mhm.
What are they going to do? They go and find more opportunities, right? And it's like, well, their well's drying up, and where are the opportunities going to be? There are plenty of opportunities to play professional football in different realms. Um, right. I get it. And I get that too. That the best announcement could happen so that the teams could start, that fans can start making plans. That I get that. All that's gonna take time.
Mhm.
All that is gonna take time, man. And so it is a smart business move as much as people like myself did not like it. But you have to see the glass half full. You gotta see that. And
Yeah,
yes, back when they merged, they had to suspend teams,
but
and
those teams came
Cleveland
back.
Cleveland had to jump from the NFL to the AFC right
Mhm.
away. So it's going to take time, and if they're going to set it up like you said, like a developmental league, then you have to look at how minor league baseball is set up, because minor league baseball has a ton of teams,
A ton. They have
a
so many
ton.
divisions.
Triple A,
There's
there's a
triple,
lot.
yeah. Triple A has so many divisions. Double A has a bunch of divisions, and even single A has a bunch of divisions. So you're exactly right.
And
And like
so
Daddy Ed says here, it will take years, but it also means that you have to put a product out there that has a year, 2 year, 3 year, 4 year, hell, a 5 year plan. It's not always about reinventing the wheel and starting over every year.
And I think this is the last time they're starting over. This is it. I don't think they're going to do a restart. Oh God, this guy,
What were you right about that others weren't right about? Dirty. Okay.
this
Dang.
guy.
um, Russ says you're right. You're right. It's on us. We have to fill the stadiums and boost the TV ratings. That's what's going to help this first merged season be successful. Let's be real. Last year, let's go back to last year. A Train,
Mhm.
did the XFL not rush the beginning of their season?
I'm gonna go on a limb and say yeah, because they wanted to make sure they only had a year's time to do it compared to the previous iteration where they had 2 years. Um, Granted, when the AAF they dropped the bomb saying that from what was told, it was a year's time to get the league out, right? And what was funny to me was when they did that, nobody knew if they actually had a plan the year prior.
Right.
If we go back to what happened with the XFL 30 for 30 that they did, remember Charlie Ebersol, it was reported that Charlie Ebersol was trying to get the XFL from Vince and he told him no. That was back in 17 when that news was supposedly dropped. So Ebersol could have been starting back in 17 and didn't drop the news until 18, and then they had the league come out in 19. And
Hmm.
then when Vince did his thing, 28 to it was 18 to 2020. And so we don't know. And that's gonna be the key thing. Oh, that's gonna be the key thing.
Yeah, it definitely is.
Getting Fox having those time slots, that's cool. Yes.
I agree.
I really want to know what that was. The streaming for the streaming platform.
I want to know if they're going to put the games on Fox Sports again and the ESPN app. You know, but
I'm pretty sure they will. Like, I don't think
and I
they're
think they
not
will
messing
too.
that up.
But here's my thing: when you look at last season for the XFL and the USFL separately, they were really worried about the TV ratings, and they kind of didn't factor in the streaming platform ratings and how many viewers were really on the streaming platform. It was like totally separate, which eh, I think kind of threw off the numbers a little bit because if you would have factored in the streaming platforms and how many people were watching on streaming platforms on the go, not at home, there's a ton of people that were watching these games on these streaming platforms.
Yeah, and I think that's the big curiosity is what those numbers were
Hmm.
because they will got to remember these companies will construe the numbers, you know, and thinking that it was a bigger number than it really was just to make it look good. And granted, they would like to have over a million viewers per game for it all. So because football is um, a major is a major factor when it comes to TV ratings.
Yeah.
Case in point, this Christmas, right? I did. I posted, made a post about it on Facebook that one NFL game, the primetime game with the Ravens and the Ravens and the 49ers, right?
Hmm.
The NBA audience didn't even get half that with the 5 games that they put out.
Crazy. And that
That's
was Christmas Day.
that's bananas.
It's funny to me that you even bring that up because
That's bananas.
I'm sitting here watching the game and uh, um an alert comes over my phone of just that. The 49ers Ravens game gets more viewership than all 5 NBA games on Christmas
Combined,
Day. And
combined.
I said, alone, that game alone got more viewers than 5 NBA games throughout the entire day on Christmas Day. That just goes to show how much people are into football. John, we don't know the league name yet or the start time that's supposed to be announced tomorrow. I believe it's supposed
Yes.
to be part of. It's supposed to be part of the announcement. We're not sure if the teams will be announced yet. We're not sure if staff and coaching and things like that. We may not even see the uniforms until 2 3 weeks from now. There's no telling what. There's no telling what's in store for us as fans, as spectators, as lovers of the game of football. There's no telling what is in store for us coming from this announcement. So we literally just have to be patient and wait. but just know it's going to be something big. And if I'm correct, which I think I might be, screw your speculations, Dirty. I think they're going to drop a bombshell. And it may be some of the news that's been speculated may not be the full bit of news that we're actually going to get. I think there's more, or there might even be less than what we're expecting. And that's key too, because if they make an announcement and it's less than what we're expecting, that's going to drive fans away, even though it shouldn't, because this is a process, guys. This is a process, and we have to be a part of this process to make this situation work. If we want to see spring football last, we have to just say the hell with it and support what they're doing. And it sucks. I know it does, guys. It sucks, especially when you're a diehard fan of specific teams that are in these spring football leagues. And there's speculation that these teams might not be around for the first merged season. Sorry, I have a whole podcast show that I have to put on hold for possibly a year. But I'm going to support this league because I know, and A-Train, you and Dirty say it all the time, if we support what they're doing, we help them have a future, right? If we support what this new merge is trying to do, this new merged league, is trying to do, we can help them have success for the future. And it's a two-way street. Let's say it like that. We have to fill up the stands. We have to watch the games and buy the tickets and buy the merchandise and help the league make money so that way they can take all that money that they've made and put it towards advancing the league. He said, which names do I want? Las Vegas Gamblers or Las Vegas Vipers? That's actually a good question. And and hold on. Answering that question is a double-edged sword for me because there's nothing but gambling in here in Las Vegas, or out here in Las Vegas, but we do have viper snakes in the desert. So, I mean, either name could work because I wouldn't want them to build a stadium out here and call it like Gamblers Row or you know, we're gonna call it the GAB Gamblers Anonymous Building. That'll be the stadium's name, the GAB Stadium, GAB Arena. Gamblers Anonymous Building Arena, something crazy. We don't want nothing like that. You know what I mean? But I'd be okay with both. Sandy says that's gonna take time as long as no more starting over. This has to be the beginning of the end. I agree with that. Will, welcome in. Let me actually welcome in everybody who has joined in. Will Freeman, welcome in. John, welcome in. Elizabeth Clayton, welcome in. Robert Rankin, welcome in. Merry Christmas to you all. Happy New Year's Eve to everyone as well. Will says, interesting is that both the Orlando Guardians and Seattle Sea Dragons X accounts reposted the post about the announcement tomorrow. That's why I say we don't know what to expect. We don't know what teams are going to be out there. I'm not listening to anyone who is not listen, honestly, because they're like, oh, well, what's the guy's name from NBC? Mike
Florio.
Give a damn what he says. He could be the most he could be another Adam Schefter type of guy.
He is.
Until I get a real official announcement, I'm not going to say, oh, well, Mike Florian said these teams were going to be in the league and they're not here. That's what I'm not looking forward to for him. I'm just saying, I'm waiting for an actual announcement from the league. And from what we're hearing, we're getting that tomorrow. Hidden says casual fans demand more of our. Wait, what? I know what you're trying to say. Casual fans demand more of something, and when it's not, they're gonna bounce. But hardcore fans are gonna be like, okay, let's see what you got. Let's see what you're giving us, and I get that. You know what I mean? But again, as Elizabeth is stating, as I'm stating, as A Train stating, as Dirty stating, as all of us hosts for these different shows are stating, we have to support the league. Or guess what? We'll be part of the downfall of spring football. And we won't be able to get mad at the league. Not in full. We can't say, oh, well, it's all your fault if we ain't going out there and buying tickets and going to these games that we're able to attend in that area. If we're not going out and buying merchandise, if we're not going and watching these games on television, if we're not doing any of that, there's no way this league can grow. There's no way this league can grow. Champ says, I believe Roughnecks are going to stay, but with gambler players. I don't know. Wade Phillips is moving from with the Roughnecks to possibly take over the head coaching job in San Antonio. So there's a lot of shuffling going on. And there's no telling what is really being done behind the scenes. Now, with Wade Phillips possibly going and taking over the head coaching job in San Antonio, does that mean the whole entire Roughnecks coaching staff is going to go with him? Does that mean Hines Ward isn't going to be a coach at all in this new merged league? What's really going on? We don't know. We can't sit here and say, oh, yeah, well, I talked to David Dykeman yesterday, because me and him, we go way back like 4 flats on a Cadillac. No, that's not happening. None of us know David Dykeman like that. So we can't be like, well, I talked to Dave Dykeman or I seen a post and then I messaged him and we started talking. It's not happening like that. We really don't know what's going on. It's the ongoing rumor in regards to the Houston team. Even Mark Thompson alluded to that. Mark Thompson mad. Dirty makes me say this. Mark Thompson is mad. A-Train, would you agree? Mark Thompson is mad.
I don't know what Mark Thompson is. All I know is Mark Thompson be talking. He just talk and he talk.
He just talk.
He just talk.
He will sit here and put out information because the information that he kept saying. The only thing he was right about was that the merge was somewhat finalized. And I was like, I don't believe it. Then I hit up my sources and they were like, somewhat. And I'm like, oh. And that's why I announced it. And then the very next day, there's a whole post that goes out. And Russ Brandon's like, hey, you might be seeing stuff on the internet about this, that, and the third, but this is what's going on. So we have to really start sitting back and paying attention to what these players say, what these owners say, what these coaches are saying, because some of it holds a little water. Some of it holds a little bit of water.
The nuggets
but a lot of it,
putting out.
Yeah. And if you notice, it's the same information.
Yep.
That's how they're making it stick, because it's the same information being circulated through everybody, and they're just putting it out. Now, Jeff Badette actually put out an email that he received, which holds a little bit more water to me, holds a little bit more weight, because this is directly from player personnel or directly from a higher up or directly from someone who knows what's going on. And that's how we got the whole March 30th start date and all this other stuff. So it's like we have to really sit back and just wait. And now that we actually have something sketched in stone being announced by Fox itself, as well as the ownership groups of the XFL and the USFL, the USFL Player Association, the whole nine. Everybody's putting out the same thing. 12/31. It's like 8/1. It's like the 8/1 announcement, but it's 12/31. New
Me
Year's Eve.
to Sandy's comment, I'm gonna say no. I think they already had that date in mind
I think so too.
because it's
Because
end of the
how
year,
long they gonna wait?
right? I
You
don't think
gonna you gonna
anything.
wait till February 1st, January 15th, when you're planning on starting the season March 30th? It just don't make no sense. They had to eventually put out an announcement, and they said in one of those posts a couple weeks ago or a month ago that they would have information out before the end of the year. They did say that, but we didn't know what the hell they were meaning. So it's just a matter of, yeah, I was excited for 8/1 at first. I'm like, 8/1, 8/1. We're about to get some crazy good news. They might be adding expansion teams or something off the wall. You know what I mean? Or at least making future plans or something. No.
But see, this ain't a league thing. This is a network thing. This is
Mm-hmm.
totally different than what it was 8/1. 8/1 it was an XFL thing. 12/31. This is on the network about the league.
Roberts,
I wonder.
welcome in.
I wonder too.
I do too. He says, how does free agency work in the league if there are no franchise owners? Everyone makes the same salary, and the league runs all the teams.
That's what the directors of player personnel, and that's what, if I'm not mistaken, Doug Whaley
Mm-hmm.
are the guys that handle that. So I'm pretty sure they know what's going on when it comes to player movement, player transactions, and things like that.
Sandy, it sucks to say this, but they don't give a damn about us. They do not care because they look at it like this. If you're a hardcore football fan that loves this league, you're going to support it. You're going to figure it out. You're gonna find a way to make plans and do this and do that to be able to attend the games, and it's they don't give
Why
a
you
damn.
think why you think St. Louis was able to be maximized to having 38,000 fans for a modern spring football game? They didn't put no marketing to it. All they said was add more seats,
Yep.
and they did.
And people who are like St. Louis fans, they wanted a professional football team back. So that's why over 38,000 people said we're going to go fill up this dome and show how much we love football in this city.
And I
That's all
think,
it's about.
and that's the thing. That's what they're supposed to base that around. But it doesn't get looked at that way.
Mm-hmm.
Don't get looked at that way at all. It just does it. I'm like,
And it makes it harder to know what to expect because you don't know what to expect. Like, we all sit here and say, oh, they don't care about the fans, which could be possibly true. But at the end of the day, when it comes to running a business, how many people really care about the people buying their products? How many of these
once
business
they start
owners,
getting some success, they stop caring after that. As long as
as
money's been made and put in their pocket.
soon as exactly, as soon as money's being made, they don't give a damn. All they care about is who's buying it or the amount of people who's buying it. Let's say
No,
that.
they just care it's being bought. That's it.
Oh, we got 10,000 sales this week. Let's go for 20 tomorrow or 20 next week. Oh, we got our 20,000. All right, let's go for 50.
But the thing is, as much as they saying business, I think it was Hit that said that business is about money, not the people. The people are the ones that's paying,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what businesses love to forget.
Without the people, how does your product get purchased?
Hello, somebody.
Because
I love some.
if I'm selling custom made hats, all right, let's just say custom made hats, for instance, and I go my first 6 months and I'm selling out, selling out, selling out. But then that next 12 months, I'm like, my sales dropped tremendously. I haven't been marketing to put my product out there. And I'm wondering why my sales went down. Well, there you go there. If you're not marketing, and this is why the XFL had the problems they had last year with attendance. We know why the USFL didn't have nobody in the stands, because they weren't worried about it. The USFL was worried about their TV ratings and their TV viewers. If we get a ton of people to watch on TV, we don't have to worry about people coming to the stadiums.
That's why they
And that's,
charge what they charge for tickets.
and that's where their mind frame was at. But it was successful for them. They didn't go to the XFL and say, hey, we need your help. The XFL went to them and said, hey, we need your help. So
Well,
people have to remember that as well.
I don't know.
We
No
don't
more
know.
games on Easter Sunday.
I don't know. Because a lot of people watch basketball on Easter Sunday. A lot of people watch baseball on Easter Sunday. You got to remember, if baseball opening weekend starts around Easter weekend, people are watching those games. You got guys with radios at church. Little earpiece.
Their phones, man. Bump that. We at the phone stage for streaming.
They got the little earbud in. They got their phone in their pocket or right below them, and they got it in their Bible. You thinking they follow along with the preacher and they're really watching the game?
Trying their best not to scream hallelujah during the middle of the sermon,
Right.
Off of a play.
Exactly. They score a touchdown, and the preacher's in the middle of a sermon. Hallelujah! Thank you, Jesus. They scored a touchdown. No, and they try to. I'm just saying, we're not at that. We're not at that point where, oh, don't have a game on this day. They don't care. Denzel, what's going on? I'm just. We're gonna get into that later on. Don't worry. We're gonna talk about my Cowboys whooping that Detroit Lion ass. Just saying. Robert says, I understand they care more about the TV viewership to get it a good TV deal and sell advertising. Yeah, because if they have the advertisement on TV, it works. But here's the problem. And this is what the XFL lacked. And I think this is why they made the initial 20% cut to marketing last year, or this past off season before the whole merger announcement, because the marketing sucked. The marketing team did nothing. I live in Las Vegas, Nevada, one of the biggest cities in the United States, one of the most populated cities in the United States. The Vegas Vipers should have been packing Cashman. Packing it up to the point where there was fans standing. That's how many people are in Las Vegas as just civilians, like people who actually live here and not just visiting. We're not talking about tourists. We're talking about there's literally almost 1 billion people in and out of Las Vegas throughout a year. But living here, we have a couple million people living in this city alone. And you're telling me you couldn't market to this city? You couldn't go to our channel 13 Action News or channel 3 or any of our news stations and say, hey, let's do a marketing deal for the XFL Vegas Vipers team. Let's get one of your news anchors to come out here and cover the game. Do some post-game interviews. Do some pre-game interviews. Do a pregame show. As soon as the Raiders came out here to Las Vegas, you got a Raiders postgame show, Raiders pregame show, silver and black TV show after the game or throughout the week. You got all type of freaking TV shows and marketing exploits for the Las Vegas Raiders now. They could have did the same thing and it would have cost cheaper because it's a spring football league.
And you know what? Okay, you mentioned that. I'm gonna play devil's advocate with that. Houston had the same opportunity, right? And the reason why I say Houston had the same opportunity because their ABC affiliate was the one carrying the games when they had them on ABC, right? They did one thing. They did a little special that the Roughnecks was coming back and they was on TV, right? That was it. You didn't get any coverage. Hey, the Roughnecks played this week and they beat the Orlando Guardians. They never mentioned it. It wasn't even part of the newscast because it wasn't a big thing to them. But they had Astros, Texans, and Rockets down like that. So, but that's the thing. Those are major leagues. And what you want to know another funny part? They would even mention the Space City Space, the minor league team in Houston. They'll mention them before they mention the Roughnecks.
Ridiculous. Yeah, we get the Aviators. They mentioned the Aviators more than they mentioned the Vegas Vipers. They mentioned the Las Vegas Lights United States Soccer League team.
But
What?
that's what it was, man. It was about the seriousness and then the marketing. It's big. You said you would think that the XFL budgets were tighter? Probably.
I don't. And I'm going to keep
Really?
saying why. Dwayne The Rock Johnson bought a no-named MMA fighter a multi-million-dollar mansion, bruh. A multi-million-dollar mansion. This MMA fighter still ain't in the UFC. And you bought this man a multi-million-dollar mansion, but you couldn't put multi-million-dollars into this league on top of what you already put it. I don't care. It takes money to make money. You have to spend money to make money.
True.
Your first year in business, you may not make the return on investment that you want or that you're projected to make. But if you say, okay, I made this, so let me take my little reserve money I got specifically for this business, and in this case, specifically for this football league, and let me take 20 million out of that reserve of, let's say, 100 million. Let's take 20 million out of it and throw it towards advertising.
Right.
That's $20 million in advertising. Or let's take 10 million for each city and put it into specific advertising for that team. Not even the whole league. Let's not even do the whole league. Let me just put 10 million into advertising the Sea Dragons in Seattle. Let me put 10 million into advertising the St. Louis Battlehawks in St. Louis. Let's put 10 million into advertising the Orlando Guardians in Orlando. And I guarantee you, I guarantee you, those teams would have been selling out. Why? Football is the number one sport in the world. Football and football. Football and soccer are the two most watched, the two most like when you look at the fans in these NFL games and these soccer games, how many spaces and gaps do you see in the stands?
Very little. Very little. But here's my thing. Americans, they want to be told. They want to be told. Did he really buy a ranch? Right.
The Rock went it. No, he bought him. He really bought that man a multi-million-dollar man.
When it comes to marketing, they want you to basically, what's the word I want to use here? They want They want you to cater to their needs,
Hmm.
whatever it takes to get them to come to you see your product. That's why you see so many commercials for insurance. That's why you see so many commercials for food. That's why you see so many for it comes to communicating, like with the phone. Cater
Yeah,
to my need. Cater to my need. I want you to cater to it. And if you do it and keep catering to it, I'm gonna get sick of it, but I'm gonna have to keep and pay attention to it.
yeah.
I'm gonna have
Los
to pay
Mistrea,
attention to it.
welcome in, brother. No, you're
So
absolutely right.
you
You're
gotta
absolutely right.
you gotta cater to my need. And when you cater to my need, man, then I'll think about it.
Happy birthday, brother. Word up.
Yeah,
Happy
hey man,
birthday.
happy birthday, Carlos.
Word
Yeah,
up.
cater to my needs. If you cater to my needs,
Brother,
then
you're
I'll think
wiser.
about it.
Exactly. If you exactly say that again. If you cater to my needs, what?
I'll think about it.
And that's the situation we're in.
Instead of saying, yeah, I'm fully in, I'll think about it.
And this
And that's
nonchalant, just like that. I'll think about it. Don't worry about it. I'll get back to you later.
that's literally how this goes, man.
So,
I'll think about it.
we just have to sit back and just accept what we're gonna get, y'all. Because at the end of the day, they are looking at it like this. This is the best way business-wise that we could think of to make this work. Period. We need some type of stability. Is how they're looking at it. And if the best way for them to get stability is to start off with 8 teams, then move to 12, then move to 16, then move to 20, then move to 24, then move to 28, then we get to 32, that's what they're going to do. And if it
Okay.
takes 5 to 10 years for them to get this league to where they want the spring league to eventually be, guess what? We got to sit back and just support it. Because we can't expect them to say, hey, 16 teams, we got the money for it. We got the money for the budget for marketing. We got the budget for taking care of all these players on all 16 teams. We got the budget for taking care of all these damn coaching staff personnel. They have it, but they're not willing to put it into the actual company. I'm just saying. Danny Garcia has how many companies? Dwayne The Rock Johnson has how much money? Jerry Cardindale has how much money in an investment company? Daryl Johnston has how much money and is the vice president of Fox Sports? Or excuse me, no, I think he was the vice president or something like that. Y'all got enough money to make this work now. It's just a matter of how they're going to do it. And I think bringing in local investors or franchise owners would make it easier because it would take a lot of the cost off of the league to where the league can put that money into the actual league as a whole and not these separate teams.
So then, okay, you play the role of the league. I'll play the role of the owner. So I'm gonna say as the owner, why should I invest in your league?
Because of what you can bring to this league and potentially help this league get to another point of success. On top
Well,
of that, you're gonna make a lot of money.
apparently they lost a lot of money. I had the numbers here. I'm just like I said, I'm just playing. If I was a potential owner, they
No, you're
lost
right.
a
You're
lot.
right.
So what can I get on a return of my investment?
Whatever you put in,
I gotta put in.
whatever you put in, this is how I'm looking at it. And I know I'm just going off of what you're saying. This is how I'm looking at how they're going to talk to these potential investors. Whatever you put in. So if you put in $10 million, expect to get a reasonable return on and a reasonable ROI, return on investment from that 10 million.
What's
As
reasonable?
long as this happens, this happens, this happens, this happens, and this happens. And that's gonna be the only one of the only hiccups or roadblocks when it comes to trying to bring in potential investors or potential team owners, because they're going to be asking that exact same question you asked. What am I going to be looking at as a return on investment? How do I know that me putting this money into this franchise, becoming the franchise owner, I don't have gray hair right now. What's to tell me that 2 years from now, I'm out here with a full head of hair? That's great. You know what I mean? Like, at the end of the day, it comes down to money. It comes down to who's going to take that gamble. Like Flame says here, that's anybody who's willing to take a gamble on an investment. And I think that when it comes to, like you were just asking, what are these owners going to make as far as a return on investment? The league don't know that yet, because the league don't even know how much they're going to make as a return on investment.
Carlos just put a comment in about how much would you realistically think it would cost to purchase a franchise. I don't know.
I don't either, because I was thinking about this last season at the beginning of the XFL season. I was like, what if I was like, hey, I have $3 million. I want to buy the Vegas Vipers. I want to be the first actual team owner or franchise owner in this league. Then I had to sit back and think, like, well, how would they respond to me? Because if you look at it, they bought
$3 million to burn, or you just said you got $3 million, period?
$3 million. Yeah, $3 million to burn and spend on buying this franchise and being the franchise owner. Then I have another however many million to put into a new stadium, practice facility, training facility, all that. And I have the money to put in there. What's my return on investment going to be? Is another question that's going to come in. What's my return on investment going to be? I could buy this team and make this team the greatest spring football league team out there, or the most popular, because of the renovated stadium and it looks all nice, and we're talking 10 steps down from AT&T, but it's for a spring football league team. This is Dallas Cowboy shit. You know what I mean? I could do that all I want, but if I ain't got no marketing, it's still not going to matter. So now you have to look at it as, okay, we got to do local marketing. This is why it's going to be hard to bring in team owners. You got to do local marketing, paying for uniforms and practice facilities, renting a stadium if you don't have one, renovating a stadium or building a stadium if you don't have one. Do you want me to keep going? The cost is so much for a team owner if they're trying to take the cost, a major portion of the cost off of the league.
Mm-hmm.
So there's too many factors right now that goes into it. There's not enough success for the spring football league for them to say, okay, we're bringing in team owners. There's not enough success. Right now, they need some Saudi money. Let's just keep it real. Right now, the USFL and the XFL, this new merged league, they need some Saudi Arabia money.
Hey, if Vince can do it, if Vince could do it, what makes you think that they couldn't do it, right? Now, yes, I like this comment. But I don't think, but here's my problem. I don't think the NFL want to cover anybody's losses.
Nope.
Because they about the NFL. That's
and
the difference.
The NFL don't have to worry about losses. So they damn sure ain't going to want to pay for anybody else's losses.
And so much crap that they go through all the time, man. They don't want to cover nobody's losses except the NFL's losses. That's it.
This is what kills me about this one. Flame, why the hell would it cost $15 million to buy a spring league football team? Wait, yeah. Why should it cost that much? The Rock and Danny Garcia purchased the XFL for $15 million.
Did they?
Why the hell? Yeah. They spent $15 million. We're not talking about the debt that they covered in that $30 million debt that they covered. We're talking about to just buy the league and say we own this. We're not going to count the $30 million debt. They bought this league for $15 $15 million.
You think they got
You're
a
telling
discount
me
on it, and for what it was really previously valued?
possibly, but it's still at the end of the day, from the price that you purchased this league at, you're gonna sit here and tell me that the St. Louis Battlehawks is worth $15 million when the league is worth $15 million? You're gonna tell me that the Las Vegas Vipers is worth $15 million?
I don't know,
So
man.
then the
Values can
franchise,
tend to go up, man. Values can tend to go up as seasons
but
progress.
how would the team? But this is what I'm
Determine
saying.
that
And
value.
how could a team determine their value if you ain't got no value in the league? If my league, if you can't sit here and tell me that the cost of a team is the same amount as it costs to buy the league, what? If I'm gonna give you $15 million for this team, you might as well just give me the league. I spent the same amount of money you did.
Right.
So how the hell does a team that initially was in a $15 billion $15 million league or entity, you're telling me now that this single franchise by itself is worth more than what the league was purchased at? Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Come on now. That makes no logical sense. So my thing is, especially back this past season, if I had $2 million in my pocket, you're telling me I couldn't have bought an XFL franchise? And if I couldn't have, I wouldn't want to. Because now you're telling me that this one team is worth almost or around the amount that you paid for this league? No, I don't want it. I don't want it because now I've wasted $15 million. Where I could have took that $15 million and probably bought all the damn teams. You see what I mean? Because of course his liquor company doing good.
Put that
A
comment
lot of
back
people drink.
on Carlos about
Hmm.
the owners in other cities.
Oh yeah. Like Los Mysterio says, aka Carlos. Also, if any potential owners are willing to purchase a franchise, wouldn't they all want to put their franchises in bigger cities like Chicago, New York, Los
Not
Angeles?
now.
Not right now. No. You put a spring football league team in New York right now, it's gonna be hard.
You see, if you saw in 2020 what happened with New York and Los Angeles, it didn't work out the way that they had hoped. Because you also what you're dealing with in those cities. Granted, the same thing was said for Houston, and the same thing was said for there was another city that I think Tampa was a part of that 2020. And when you have big cities like that and they're competing against the Cubs and the Bulls and the Blackhawks, and then you got the Knicks and you got the Nets, you got the Rangers, the Islanders, the Yankees, and the Mets, and then Los Angeles, you got the Dodgers and the Angels and the Lakers and the Clippers, and then you got the Kings.
And you got
Look
the
at all the
Rams.
teams you got to compete with. No,
You have
you
the
ain't worried
Rams.
about them.
But I'm just saying,
But
and on the football side, you have the
yes,
Rams, you have the San Francisco 49ers, you have the
the
Chargers,
Chargers,
you have how many professional football teams just in Los Angeles or just in California? Then let's go to New York. Giants, Jets, Buffalo Bills.
right? And then Chicago, of course, you got the Bears. And even remember, during that time, they thinking about drafts. They thinking about the NFL draft.
Mm-hmm.
And this is talking
Now,
about during the
friend,
spring league.
now help me with this. If you go and buy a stadium and have a stadium constructed as a team owner, don't you own that?
Yep.
I wouldn't have to worry about paying rent, correct? I'm just saying, I wouldn't have to worry about paying for rent if I go to the city and say, "Hey, I want to pay to have this building constructed. I want to pay to have my football team's stadium built." Now, as the team owner, Your franchise owns that stadium. You're not going to have to pay no rent. You may have to pay that tax, yes, but rent, you wouldn't have to worry about it because you own it. You're paying for uniform, staff, payroll, rent for the venues. We're going to take out because we own the venue. We had this venue built. The city ain't going to own it. The owners of the Vegas Vipers would if this was the case. You see what I'm saying? So I wouldn't have to worry about paying rent. I would only have to worry about paying taxes. And property tax, what, is year round? If I'm not mistaken. So I wouldn't be able to make enough money in a year to pay for a team to stay. I'm just saying it's more of a, if we're in this certain market and we could get the viewers, the fans to fill the seat, the viewers to watch it because they constantly are seeing a marketing ad about this XFL team or this USFL team or this game coming up.
Mm-hmm.
If my news team that I watch on a daily basis, I watch Channel 5 News, they're constantly talking about this new spring league and the games coming up and the team in our local market. You see what I'm saying? People, it's like when you're watching a show on TV and you see the commercial for it or another show and you're like, hey, that looks good. I'm interested in checking that out. And then the more you're sitting there watching, the more they keep playing those different ads for that TV show that's supposed to be coming out. And they're showing so much of the good stuff. And you're just like, damn, that looks really, really good. Man, I want to see that. If they market these teams like they do these TV shows and stuff, you know how many people be like, yo, I got to go see this. I love football, so I'm a fan of football. I got to go see this. What's all the hype about? If you hype it up, eventually you're going to put yourself at a point to where your marketing will do its job for itself. All you got to do is play a commercial.
How long do
St.
you
Louis
think?
Battlehawks is playing the Houston Roughnecks this Saturday or this Sunday at such and such time at the Dome. Make sure you're there. We're going to be giving out this, that, and the third for the first 1,000 people that are there at the stadium. All that. All those type of things are the little bullshit incentives, just a marketing tool. If you would have had that this past season, in the 2023 season, the XFL would be going into a season 2 on its own. Just saying. They did such a horrible job. John says, disagree, A-Train. Venue was the New York Guardians' problem. We had numbers to fill Red Bull Stadium, not MetLife. Also, a New York Guardians game had the highest XFL 2.0 rating. You're talking about the number 1 market in the U.S.
Which is understandable, but at the same time, Vince McMahon was not looking at small venues. And he was like, well, what he did in Los Angeles, that's because of the venues that he wanted to work for. They
Mm-hmm.
weren't going to allow him in. So he had to find the next best thing. Him and Oliver Luck. So he wanted big venues from the get-go. He wanted anything 40, 50,000 plus. So that's why this go round, you couldn't get it in DC because they weren't going to play at FedEx.
Mm-hmm.
Just weren't. And so they found Audi Field. But don't push it past and make it seem like they were never going to look at a smaller venue. They were going big or go. They were going big or go home. So
Yep.
in that case, they were looking for big venues in 2020. And when MetLife said that they were allowed to come in, they took it. But you also have to think about the market, though.
Yeah.
They were not going to sit there and go to a spring football game when they had other spring teams that are playing at that time.
Exactly.
Of course, and of
Exactly.
course, MLS stadiums are good for spring football. That's fine. But they're not going for that because they want the bigger venue anyway. That's why DC has Audi Field now, right? I'm trying to think. Is that the only soccer stadium we're looking at? Yes.
Right now,
Why
yeah.
you think why do you think they wanted minimal with soccer stadiums? Because they wanted football venues only. And
Because
so
look at Cashman. Look at Cashman, for instance. It was set up. It went from being a
I
AAA
disagree with that.
baseball.
I
It
disagree
went
with
from
that.
being what this one. The only
Yeah, we
possible
the one
owner
that
I see
yep, I disagree.
right now is the FedEx CEO for the Memphis Showboats, who just donated $50 million for the renovations for Liberty.
You know who's gonna own that stadium? The University of Memphis, not FedEx.
I was just gonna say the same thing. That's exactly who's gonna own that. Sorry to say it,
So that's
but
up to
FedEx
the
ain't
that's
gonna
gonna
own
be up to the University of Memphis. And when all that happens, they have to abide by some rules that was given for that $50 million donation anyway,
it. Hmm.
for that to be unlocked. So that's a locked $50 million. That's not unlocked.
Exactly.
And again, the city is trying to allow the University of Memphis to get that stadium. That ain't no reason why the Bandits moved to Memphis. That's not. And of course, a lot of people love Oliver Luck
He did a
because he
good
did an
job.
amazing. He did a real good job with what he
He
was
did.
given for the 2 years that he had leading up to, or year and a half he had leading up to getting the league ready for 2020.
And that's another thing. Oliver Luck had the backing of Vincent Kennedy. I have more money than your mama, McMahon. Okay. Vince, I don't care what we say about Vince McMahon when it comes to the wrestling side or his personal life or anything. Vince McMahon is a damn good businessman. A damn good businessman. If it wasn't for Vince McMahon, some of the innovations that's happened in the National Football League wouldn't even be there.
I will
What
say
Vince
because of
McMahon did
that.
in 2001 with the XFL, don't get me wrong, it flopped after a year, but that championship trophy was better than what we just got. That hunk of metal we just got didn't look like a damn Oreo with a see-through football on top of it. But you just got to imagine Vince McMahon went about it the right way, even back then. Yeah, it was gimmicky. Yeah, it was bull. But what Vince McMahon did marketing wise, what
It's,
Vince McMahon did going out and getting stadiums for all the teams that he had in that league, he did that.
I'm
And when
sorry,
he brought
Flame
in
Wingman.
Oliver Luck, oh, go ahead.
No, I was just saying I'm sorry to Flame Wingman. Yeah, he said that they already own the stadium. Still,
That's why do you think they're doing the renovations for? They ain't doing it for an XFL team or a USFL team. They're doing it for the University of Memphis. Why? Because guess who more than likely helps sponsors or boosters
FedEx,
the
they got the
University
Liberty
of
Bowl.
Memphis? FedEx Liberty Bowl at Liberty Stadium in Memphis. You see how it all goes together? We were just talking about me and Gabe last week. We are just talking about the ridiculous names for these bowl games.
I would love to get into that, man. As much as we got so much, I know we got so much about this XFL and USFL stuff, man. But woo,
I ain't gonna
Dirty.
spend the whole show. Dirty said, "Where's his Dirty's praise?"
And
Baby,
next,
I'm gonna give you some praise. You was
don't
right
do it.
about some
Don't do it.
stuff,
Don't do it. Don't do it.
but
Don't do it.
it wasn't. It wasn't. Hey, look, that Pop Tarts Bowl trophy was lit. That looked so clean. How they had the Pop Tarts on the side and there. Stop it. Don't be-
Hey, hey, listen. Don't pour no mayo on me either, like they did in that Duke's Mayo
Kid,
Bowl.
that was disgusting. That was disgusting.
Absolutely not.
Flame, you said Fred Smith donates so much money to University of Memphis. It's crazy, and I live there. I get that. But when it comes to them renovations being done for Liberty Bank Stadium or whatever it's called, I think it's called Liberty Bank Stadium. But when
Liberty,
those
yeah.
renovations, they're being done for the University of Memphis Tigers. They ain't being done for no other team. Trust me. They're being done for the University of Memphis Tigers. But it benefits the Memphis Showboats because the Memphis Showboats was a beloved franchise back in the 80s. That's another reason why they brought them back. If you notice this past year in the USFL, Memphis Birmingham, Detroit, all had the most fans. Or should I
Well,
say
yeah.
Michigan? They
Well,
all
that's
had the most
the
fans to come out and support their games.
but that was the case because that was their venue. You got to remember the other teams didn't have venues, and there was 5
Mm.
cities that did not have a venue. So yeah, of course, they was gonna be the 3 top because they all had them to play in. So,
Damn,
but
these comments coming in crazy today.
yeah,
Will Will said the only possible
yeah, we
owner.
talked
Oh,
about that.
okay. We talked about that. Okay.
Yeah, we talked about that.
Let's go back to David. David says perhaps college football stadiums will work moving forward. I remember the All American Football Conference and attempted but never took the field. Spring League with teams in Power Five conference college stadiums. I see where you're going. I see where you're going.
considering that how some of these spring football leagues getting guys that played in big Power Five schools, I get it.
You s- they gonna try to do what they did with the Skycam and say they invented it. I know. I know.
When it was
That's
when it was an NBC staffer that invented it. Okay, all
exactly. And he invented it for the XFL game.
right.
So everybody knows all these new innovations that have been done in the NFL, a lot of it came from the XFL and other spring leagues. Now they do just need to adopt the kickoff. Adopt
I'll say
the kickoff.
I'll say this, that if anything the NFL should take, they should go ahead and get the kickoff. That's it.
Yeah.
They're not going to do the 1, 2 point, 3 point conversions, even though that is like
The littest
amazingly
thing in
great
football.
as
Right.
far as
That is
like
one of the best things in football because now you make it to where a 9-point game is no longer a 2-score game.
that
A
part.
9-point game is a 1-score game.
And I
And
thought
it
that was
makes
cool.
football so much more fun to watch because now it's like, okay, these guys are down 10. What they gonna do? Oh, we already know they're gonna score a touchdown, go for the 3, go for that 4th and 15.
Case in point, Battlehawks versus the Brahmas, the very first week of the season. It was a clear example of you can come back from 2 scores down, but
2
scoring
minutes.
9 points after uh, scoring a touchdown. It was possible.
Yeah. David says if Atlanta is ever considered as a potential market, Center Park Stadium, the former Turner Field, will be a nice venue of choice.
Of
Yes,
course it
it
would.
definitely would.
Of course it would.
Duke's Bowl last year, the announcers dunk Oreos in the mayo and ate the. I'm sorry, that's so disgusting. They're going crazy with these different bowls, like all these food bowls and stuff. The Idaho potato bowls, you're getting French fries dumped on you and stuff. When they ate that big ass Pop Tart, though, I was like, "That's edible." Oh, y'all gonna be sick. Y'all all gonna be in the hospital. Bruh.
Just nasty,
But
man.
no, I do get it. The idea behind the AAFC was to play in the college football stadiums that would largely be insured or unused during the spring. Unfortunately, the league never got off the ground. No, you're right, and they would definitely have to do the same something similar. You know what I mean? They would have to do something similar to take advantage of that. But
Well,
it's
they
going to be
didn't.
hard with how much college football is a business now. It's going to be hard to even get college football stadiums, especially Power 5 conference teams. It's going to be hard. That's all I can say.
Let's be clear here on this comment that that the Saudis partnered up with the PGA. They partnered up with PGA players, former, because they didn't partner up with the PGA. They partnered with
Yeah.
former PGA players and they formed Live Golf.
Yeah, if they partnered up with the PGA itself, PGA would be the richest, like the richest sport, because them Saudi boys got money. Money.
But
Why do
that
you think
I
the
don't think
Saudi
that
Arabia
law
soccer
stopped it.
teams are sitting here paying Cristiano Ronaldo 200, damn near, what, damn near $1 billion
Yeah.
to play soccer?
Yep.
to kick the ball around and run around up and down the field for 90 minutes. Almost $1 billion. I need to go play soccer again. But I just think, I don't know. There's so much that comes with this whole situation,
And there's
man.
red tape in that one.
Yeah, but there's so much that comes with this situation, guys. And like I said, all we could really do is sit back and wait for this announcement tomorrow. Now, when this announcement comes tomorrow, then it's another, okay, so what's next? Because if they don't give us no full layout, there's still information we're going to be waiting for. And then there's still going to be fans who's going to be out there like, oh, they're BSing around with us. They don't want to tell us all the information. They're just trying to play with the fans. No, they have to do this a certain way. They can't give you all the meat on the bone and expect you to come back for seconds. They gotta give you a little taste. So this is what they're gonna announce tomorrow. I'm gonna tell y'all what they're gonna announce. I'm gonna do my Daddy Ed impression. This is what they're gonna announce. I ain't got no envelope, with the beautiful tape or nothing like that. But this is what they're gonna do tomorrow. They're gonna announce more than likely the name of the league, the official start date of the league, the draft on January 5th. We're not even gonna. I don't even think we're gonna get the team names tomorrow. I don't even think we're gonna get all the teams tomorrow. Just don't expect that tomorrow. I would just say that right now because I don't think we're gonna get all that. I think they're gonna give us just a little bit, and it's gonna be the start date. It's gonna be the name of the league, possibly who's gonna be providing the jerseys, which we already know it's Under Armour. Mike Mitchell is reporting that the markets will be announced Monday. Listen.
Okay. But
Fox,
you won't know the team. You won't know the team names.
Exactly. I'm not listening to nothing. Listen, no disrespect to none of these inside reporters. No disrespect to none of them. But the way the XFL and the USFL has gone about their announcements and stuff this past year, I'm not listening to anybody. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm not saying you ain't getting no leaked information or you ain't an inside scooper or none of that. I'm not listening to Mike Florian or Florio. I'm not even listening to the NBC guy. I want to hear it directly from Russ Brandon or Daryl Johnston or an actual member of the owners of these leagues. Until we hear something from them directly, because Fox is leading this up to something. They got everybody waiting now. Everybody speculating. Oh, what's this going to be? What's going to happen? What's this news going to be all about? I'm telling you what's going to be. They're going to announce a little bit of stuff just like they did, like they've been doing. And then they're going to hit us with a bombshell on a Thursday. Because the XFL loves to make announcements on Thursdays. We all know this. We've dealt with this for the last year. The XFL loves. He said, "I'm gonna give out my own dirty speculation." No, I'm just telling you, this is what they're gonna do, man. I think that they're going to literally sit here and wait to announce what teams are going to be in, and I think we might get it on January 5th, the day of the supposed draft. I think that's when we'll actually get the team names and markets and stuff like that. I don't think we'll get that tomorrow. And I don't think they're going to announce anything on New Year's Day. Because too many people are going to be watching the New Year's Six Bowls. And speaking of the New Year's Six Bowls,
yes,
I want to drift away from this conversation. We've almost been on this one conversation for 2 hours, and the show wasn't even supposed to be 2 hours long today. So let's move on to these New Year's Six bowl games, which have started. The Chick-fil-A Bowl is currently on with Penn State taking on Ole Miss, and it's a very good game. I hear it in the background. I'm interested in the Georgia Florida State game
Of course you are.
because half of the Florida State Seminoles are not even playing in the game.
They protested, man. They protested.
So, with that, is the game going to be worth watching? Michigan's losing? That's awesome to
No,
hear.
no. He's saying that's what's going to happen
Oh,
Monday.
oh yeah, I can't wait for Monday either. But is it going to be worth watching?
Oh gosh.
Is the
All I,
Georgia
all I
Florida
know
State
is I'm
going to
going to
be
hear
it?
about it. I'm about to hear about it from Daddy Ed about this. I'm gonna hear about it. I'm gonna hear it. Ah man, I'm gonna hear about it. I'm about to hear about this.
Alabama's not the best team. Texas ain't even the best team.
I'm gonna hear
The two
about this.
best teams in the college football playoffs are Washington and Michigan, based off
And
their record.
hey, and
Daddy Ed.
I hope the both of them make the national championship. I really do. I really
I
do.
don't know if it's possible.
Michigan and
Wait, no, no,
Washington.
no.
Yes, they
It
can.
is. It is. It is because Washington's taking on Texas and
Michigan taking on Alabama.
taking on Alabama.
Woo.
How do
Oh,
you know this, Daddy Ed? See?
I told you. I told
What if Florida State would have all their players playing except Jordan Travis because we know he's injured,
you.
and they win the game? Then what would everybody be saying?
I
Oh,
gotta.
it was going to be a snooze fest.
I gotta say
Georgia's
this.
going to walk all over him.
This is gonna
Okay.
ruin. This is gonna ruin my argument. It's gonna ruin my argument. So remember last night? Last night's Alamo Bowl. Excuse me, Cotton Bowl Classic, right?
Oh,
Between Missouri
great
and
game.
Ohio State, right? And if you watch the game, about 39, 40 minutes or so, the score was 3-0. No, not 39, excuse me. About 50 minutes of the game. It was 3-0, right? Final score of that game was 14-3. And I have to believe without question that that's the lowest scoring Cotton Bowl in probably the history of the event. 17 points.
Hmm.
And remember, Ohio State had a backup quarterback, two backup quarterbacks at
And one got injured.
that. No one. You wind up having a true freshman play to finish out the game, right? I'll keep looking down because I'm starting to believe that that's what's going to happen. That would have happened to Florida State.
Set Missouri versus Ohio State's B team. And it was. You had no Marvin Harrison Jr., number one receiver in the country. You
Al
had no
McCoy
Marvin Harrison Jr.
transferred.
McCord transferred. He's like, I'm out of here.
They the two fingers. Um,
And
you put a sophomore in, he gets hurt, and then you put a true freshman in, and he gets mollywopped. So yeah, it kind of made it difficult. So now that I see that, I think that would have been the same thing for Florida State. So I can understand why they left and said, "Nah, I'm good. We're not playing in this game."
don't want the
So it
embarrassment.
it it hurts. It hurts. It hurts Florida State, in my opinion, and it also hurts. Um, it also hurts my argument that I've been wanting to make for so long.
It kills my argument.
It
It just
kills
kills. I
everything.
couldn't even argue with that. Yeah, it'd be more about Florida State now because Ohio State's quarterback transferred after going 11-1 on the season. He said, we won. We had a winning season, but we still couldn't win the Big Ten championship. Out. I'm out of here. We can't even win a Big Ten championship, and they were cheating. I'm out of here. I'm out of here. He's like,
Oh
Who
man.
did Kyle McCord transfer to?
I had a real quick story. There was a gentleman who's a big Ohio State fan, and he posted that all y'all Mizzou Tiger fans are coming too hard on my post and stuff like that. I said, first of all, sir, if your team would have beat Michigan, you wouldn't even be having this conversation right now. You'd be talking about getting in the college football playoff or playing for the Big Ten championship against
Yep.
Iowa, which they probably would have same thing, annihilated them, Ed. So it wouldn't have made a difference. No way. But Ohio State lost their last 2 games of the season. So if you want to get mad at somebody, get mad at losing they lost to Michigan. But
Yeah.
my whole ordeal was last night's game was like a precursor to what I might see in Georgia and Florida State.
I don't want. I'm scared to even watch the game now because
I'm
I'm
gonna
gonna get
watch it just. I just gotta watch the first half.
I'm gonna get a message from Daddy Ed, and it's gonna say, "See,
I
I
told you.
told you so." Are you sleeping on this game? Are you sleeping? I'll be like,
Yes,
Daddy Ed, leave me alone.
and while true, it was impressive that Mizzou still won the game and won the Cotton Bowl. It was their third Cotton Bowl victory, right? The second since being in the SEC. Cool. But I wasn't. You want to sit there and say to be impressed? Okay, they won 14-3. Cool. But it was against Ohio State's B team. But at the same time, you got to play against who you put out. So
Mm-hmm.
you can't really deny Missouri for what they did against Ohio State. They did well on the defensive end,
Yeah,
and on the offensive end, the
boy,
whole
Cody
talk was about
Schrader.
yeah, that was it.
Oh my God,
Yeah,
Cody Schrader, boy. If he ain't a first, second round NFL draft pick next year,
he will be a draft pick, but I don't think he'll be that high. I think he'll be a day two guy. I
he'll
really
be
do.
dumb.
No,
Why sit
it
here
won't.
and take the leading rusher in FBS? He had the most yards in FBS, any
Hmm.
running back in the FBS, the
Hmm.
entire FBS. I need a workhorse like that.
I'm
His
I'm I'm gonna wait.
mentality, even his mentality, he said,
I'm gonna wait
if
till
you
his
want
pro
a
day.
super athletic player, you want all this and all that, I'm not that guy. Go somewhere else and look for that. If you want
Wow.
a football player, I'm your guy. I'll take that football player over that super. Oh well, I could jump in the air, do splits, and catch the ball with one hand, and 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 moonwalk to the end zone. I don't give a damn.
Pro day
Can you
is gonna be something.
catch a slant, get popped, and keep running?
I want to see his pro
Can
day.
you can you take all that power and swag that you have and utilize it on the football field to get us a win? Like this kid Cody Schrader, who all we gotta do is just give him the ball, and he's gonna find a way to pick up decent amount of yards each time he touched the ball. And he
Oh,
proved it last night against a
it's a
very good
terrific
defense,
story.
even though it was a B team defense.
It was a terrific. It's a terrific story, and I think he was ranked eighth in the Heisman voting, which was pretty
Yeah,
good for a Missouri player because I don't think Missouri players get that type of love that they
recognition.
get. You know what I mean? Recognition.
Yeah.
So um, that's good for that. But if they're going to make him work hard for his dollars, his NFL dollars, I don't think it's going to be first round. I don't think it's day one. Day
It
two,
may not be,
day
but I
two,
think he's
yeah.
a day two guy at least.
Day
You know what I
two,
mean?
yeah. At best, at worst, day three. If he go undrafted,
It's
it's
gonna
gonna
be a
be
shock because it's like you don't take the number one rusher in all of college football this past season and put him on your team.
I
Like,
think I think they're gonna make him work for it. And I made a joke about it last night. I was just joking that he should play for the Battlehawks. You know, uh, granted, because
but hell,
He's a St. Louis guy, and I mean, granted they would like him, but I'm saying he's an NFL caliber talent, and
yeah, he's NFL caliber. Unless he goes into the NFL and just flops, which I just don't see happening. A lot of people thought Bijan Robinson was going to come in, and some people thought he was just going to be this super high draft pick, which he wasn't. Or no, actually, he
he
was.
was.
I'm sorry, he was. But he wasn't as effective as people thought he was going to be. Let's keep it real. But it's hard to be when you got a guy like Desmond Ritter who can't throw to the ball to the broadside of a damn barn.
I feel bad. I feel bad for Kyle Pitts.
I feel bad for Kyle Pitts. I feel bad for Taylor Heineke. I feel bad for Drake London. Like, I feel bad for Bijan. That's not the team he should be on, and it sucks. But
But
I
that's
think
what we're
Cody
doing.
Schrader's going to have the same fate as him. He's going to go to a team like the Carolina Panthers, or he's going to go to a team like the Chicago Bears, who needs a running back. That's
That
all
wouldn't
I'm
actually hurt. That wouldn't actually hurt him.
It wouldn't. It would actually be good for him, but it wouldn't if they don't get an offensive line over there in Chicago.
Shoot, Washington would be good for him.
Washington would be great for him. Eric Bieniemy as your OC, and they're about to get rid of Ron Rivera and bring in a better coach. But
It should
Eric
be Bieniemy, honestly.
Bieniemy should be the head coach of the Washington Redskins, Commander Skins, Red
Commander
Commander,
Skins, I like that.
Red Commander Skins. We're just gonna keep calling them the Red Commander Skins, just like I called KFC. Well, Kansas City, I call them KFC. I'm never gonna stop. So, anytime you hear me referring to the Kentucky Fried or the Kansas Fried Chickens, it's the Kansas City Chiefs. But they're the Kansas Fried Chickens to me.
I like
I
that.
can't.
Hey, Dirty, we got a name for them now, man. The Kansas Fried Chickens.
Kansas Fried Chickens. That's all I'm gonna
But
say.
yeah, when it comes to these bowl games, though, of course, the New Year's Six, we're gonna be pertaining to the two games between Alabama, Michigan, and of course Texas and Washington.
Yep.
I feel I want to see Michael Penix really make a name for himself. You know, he had a difficult Pac-12 championship. It seemed like that they were on the verge of getting an L to Oregon, but they pulled it out. But
Mm-hmm.
now he's really on the national stage. You know, playing
Yeah.
for a national championship.
This is the part where Michael Penix Jr. MPJ gets to really cement himself in college football history, as well as set himself up for a high draft pick, because he's not going to go. We already know he's not going to go above Drake Mayo or Caleb Williams. Those are the two college football quarterbacks right now that everybody's talking about.
And
Caleb
they'll be the
Williams.
top 5 picks, you know what I mean? So,
So
uh,
that kind of pushes Michael Penix Jr. and even Bo Nix further down the draft pool line. But we don't know how these like the last couple NFL drafts has been a little bit unpredictable. Excuse me.
thanks
Some of these
to the
teams,
Houston Texans. Thanks to the
mm-hmm,
Houston Texans.
some of
I
these
say
teams
when I say Houston
out.
completely changed that draft.
Yeah, when you're able to land C.J. Stroud and Will Anderson Jr. within the first 3 picks, yeesh.
Hey, I paid attention when when they got Stroud, I just had this feeling that they were going to be better than what was predicted about the
Mm-hmm.
Texans. And they literally have fulfilled my prediction. 8 wins is what they got so
Yep,
far. With a chance to
possibly
do better than that.
exactly, possibly 9 or 10, because I believe they have 2 more games this week and next
I,
week.
I know this is
And
gonna sound
CJ's
crazy.
right back, ain't he? CJ comes back today or this week.
Uh-huh.
Get ready.
If they win and make the playoffs, D'Amico Ryans is coach of the year.
Yes, hands
That's my
down.
speculation.
And
As
if
much
he
as I want to
doesn't,
give Stefanski all the credit, I want to give Kevin Stefanski, especially because you have to understand what he's gone through too. He's
yeah,
gone through 4 quarterbacks. 4 quarterbacks. They found a guy, a 38-year-old guy who a lot of people wrote off, and they're making the playoffs when nobody expected Cleveland to get there. So that's going to be interesting. But right now, Stefanski is the front runner for it. But if the Texans make the playoffs, you gotta give D'Amico Ryans the
especially if they
coach of
go
the
deep.
year, man.
Especially if they
It,
go
it ain't
deep.
even about a deep run because right
The fact
now
that they made it. You're right.
they can still win the division.
Mm-hmm.
As we sit right, and Trevor Lawrence is not playing this weekend.
That's huge. That's the first missed game of his college or NFL career.
That's the part that people are not seeing. He's out this week. And CJ coming back at the right time.
This gives them prime position to win the division.
And let's see, Indianapolis. I know we're supposed to be talking about the bowl games, but this one is too juicy to pass up. You know what I mean? So, and they're playing the Raiders.
And that Raiders defense has been looking something totally different this year, or
Hey,
these last couple games.
I know we're supposed to talk about that, but this is a wild race for the playoffs.
Yeah,
And I'm gonna just say for my picks, I got Michigan and Washington for the bowl games, for the major ones. That's the ones that we care about, you
yeah.
know. But
I
for
think
this
Michigan
week,
and Washington goes to the national championship too. I do agree with that one. I think Washington will pull out the win over Texas, and
Michigan
Michigan.
will pull up the upset. It will be considered one.
Yeah, they're gonna. I think Michigan is gonna cruise past Alabama because Alabama don't deserve to be there. I don't give a damn what nobody says. Okay,
Or Texas, man. So
they lost to Texas. That's why Texas is in. Georgia, you shouldn't be in there either. There should be no SEC team in the damn college football playoff this season, but whatever.
but for this recap, man, we looking at the NFC, the AFC South. Three teams all at 8-7.
Mm-hmm.
The Browns have done their job. They got in the playoffs.
They clinched.
Baltimore Baltimore is clinched the playoff spot. Um,
They're actually playing for first
Overall.
overall in the AFC
Mhm.
when they play Miami, and I think that game is this week. And then
Yeah, it's a noon game tomorrow.
they end the season. Baltimore ends the regular season against the Pittsburgh Steelers, who they
Ooh.
lost to earlier this season, only because some miscues and turnovers. But the way the Ravens have been playing, and after what they did to the Winers last week, oh my God, 5 interceptions, 4 of them by Mr. Purdy. He wasn't that pretty good. He wasn't pretty good at all.
Listen, as
So,
much as I want to give crap to your Cowboys, man, like right now, they are pretty much in the driver's seat to, of course, making the playoffs. And to be honest,
I love you too, Daniel.
hey, let me tell you something now. All Cowboys fans, listen to me. They do not need the number one seed.
We
Okay.
don't.
You
We
don't
don't.
need the number one seed.
What's going on, Odin? Welcome
The
in.
Cowboys just need to make the playoffs. Start on the road for all I care. The reason
Yep.
why I say that is because you get an extra game to play, right? And having that number one seed tends to throw off teams when they finally get to play.
Yep.
Granted, the
And
Eagles was able to keep the number one seed last season. I think the same thing happened with Kansas City. But they were strong teams, right? And so I wouldn't mind seeing the 49ers as the number one seed because that makes them the headhunted. It means you want to beat them at home field advantage. But
you
for
want
the
to go
49ers,
into the house and
mhm,
stomp.
exactly. But for them, even with the one bad game for Brock Purdy, um, I think they can rebound back, and and get that, of course, win the division, and then get that number one seed. Yeah, and I see the Rams too. I see the Rams.
Yeah, you see them,
They
but
they have they have they have it.
they gotta
And
beat San Francisco. They have to beat San Francisco. They have to make the playoffs and make any type of noise, or to be like, oh, we're a contender, like we're really here. Because at the beginning of the season, I do give the Rams credit. They only lost to San Francisco by 7.
mhm.
So they do have a chance. And with Brock Purdy getting exposed last week, and I don't care how nobody wants to look at it, Brock Purdy got exposed.
the crazy
when
thing
when all of your skilled players are in, and the best, one of the best, because him and Zach Martin are the best offensive linemen in the game. Trent Williams, when
Mhm.
you have all your skilled players and you got Trent Williams and the rest of your O line healthy, and you put on a 4 interception performance the first time ever in your football career, not NFL career, not just NFL career. We're talking about this is the first time Brock Purdy has ever thrown 4 interceptions in a game. Ever. He got exposed. You put him under pressure, he wasn't able to just dump the ball off to Debo because the Ravens' pressure was in his face all the time. He wasn't able to hand the ball off to Christian McCaffrey, and Christian McCaffrey just does what he do because that Ravens defense was stopping that run something crazy. The Ravens just outplayed the 49ers in that game. And if players, or excuse me, teams go back and watch that tape, they will see what the Ravens did and what the 49ers failed to do as far as adjustments and things to that nature. So it's going to be these last 2 weeks in the NFL season are critical for all teams, especially teams that are running, that are pushing for the playoffs, that are still in the hunt,
and
that are
for
playing
teams that
teams. Go ahead.
and for teams that trying to get draft picks.
That too. Like if we not making it to the playoffs, we're gonna do our best to make sure you don't make it to the playoffs. And and we trying to play for a draft spot, and we're trying to get, you know what I mean, a higher draft position. So it's going to be a lot that entails with these teams for the last 2 seasons. Like these guys are going to, or the last 2 games of the season, these guys are going to be playing for. Every team is playing for something. Even if they're out of the playoff race, they're still playing for something. Like you
Mm,
just
mm,
said,
mm, mm,
draft picks.
mm, 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 mm. Like it's funny. Um, Saints and Buccaneers. You looking at one team 7-8, the other 8-7. Saints win. That bumps them up to the top spot,
Mm-hmm.
and they're 7-8, 8-8. So that makes things interesting in the South, right? Then, of course, you got Dolphins, Ravens. That game is for the number one seed in
In
the
the entire
playoffs
AFC conference.
in the AFC. Yeah, right. So you got that one, all right? Rams and Giants. Of course, Rams are trying to keep their playoff hopes alive. Raiders and Colts. Raiders are trying to keep their playoff hopes alive.
Yep.
Uh, Bengals and the
That's
Chiefs.
crazy that the Raiders are still in the playoff hunt.
It's outside looking in, but it's still there.
Yeah,
If the Chiefs win this week, then it's pretty much a wrap.
but they can possibly still make it in with a Denver loss. What is it? A Denver loss. Who else is in the AFC West?
Chargers.
The Chargers ain't gonna matter.
No, it's not. It would have to be a Denver loss.
A Denver loss and a KC loss.
Yep.
A Kansas City loss and a Denver loss would surely put
Hey,
in the Raiders, which is crazy.
but the AFC South race is bananas.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is.
Hey, shout out to my guy Mike Patton, man, who does a show called Turn the AFC South. It basically covers everything that goes on in the AFC South, man. I'm like, sir, y'all have the best race in the NFL right now, going
Yeah,
in week 17.
because there's 3 teams. He said, "Damn you, Jersey, our old."
All time is be lacking in mainstream. Hey, but listen, like CJ Stroud's back, Trevor Lawrence is out, and then uh Gardner Minshew is trying to keep that team afloat because none of that was supposed to be the Jaguars division all by itself.
Yep. No one
No way,
expected. It's CJ Stroud to do what he's doing this year, and the Texans to look as good as they're looking. No one expected Gardner Minshew to come in for Anthony Richardson after he goes down for the season, which I still think is all on the Colts. Y'all messed up that man's career already. We'll see next year, but Gardner Minshew, y'all. He was Jalen Hurts' backup last season. The season before that, I forgot what team he was on. The season before that, I forgot which team he was on. I don't even remember the team. I'm just saying,
He
this
was a
guy has came out of
Jaguar.
nowhere. He was.
He was a
He was
Jaguar.
a Jaguar. He was a former Jaguar. And now he's in the AFC South again, but now with the Colts. And he's gotten them looking good. He got them looking good right now. He's actually been playing pretty good. I was gonna pick him up in my fantasy football, but I might not.
I gave up
CJ's
after
better. CJ's
gave
better.
up after last week, so I don't even care what happened in 2017. I don't even care anymore,
CJP's a
man.
Buffalo fan. Buffalo still has a chance, but they got a hard road to
Eh,
to.
they knock out the Patriots, they'll be all right.
But
And knock
look what
out
the
the Patriots.
Patriots been doing. Patriots been just
Get
been
it.
beating Billy Zappi, and the Patriots just been beating teams that you would expect them to get blown out by. So I'm not going to put nothing past the Patriots right now with Billy Zappi at the helm, even though I don't think he's all that great of a quarterback. He's a game manager. He's able to go in there and not make a bunch of mistakes and keep the team afloat. That's your
Yeah.
job right now.
What
You
what's
know what
that
I
mean?
mean?
What's that mean for Mac Jones at this point?
His career's over.
So you
We'll
saying that
see.
they're gonna have to bring in another quarterback
Oh,
for
they
the
are.
Patriots?
They're getting rid of Bill Belichick. Watch what I tell you. They're getting rid of Bill Belichick. They're bringing in another quarterback, and they're bringing in a running back and a wide receiver. That's what they're drafting next season or this offseason. Watch what I tell you. They're going to draft another quarterback, draft a good wide receiver, and draft another running back. And if Ramondre Stevens doesn't come back and he's the same, that's why they got that third running back. You know what I mean? Daddy Ed says pick one. Tua versus Baltimore, Goff versus Dallas, or fly with Derek Carr versus Tampa.
Yeah, Saints and Bucks is what he's saying. I'm gonna choose golf against Dallas.
Definitely. I think that's the game to really,
Because
really
they
those
might have to face off against each other again.
in the playoffs. Yep. But this is a key game for both teams as well. Dallas needs this victory just for positioning in the playoffs.
Hmm.
Dallas needs this victory. Detroit needs this victory, but not so much because Detroit is going to get home field advantage just by winning their division.
Yep.
They're going to get their home game
They
for
getting a
winning the
3 or
division.
4 spot
So
or 2 spot.
either way, it's more so important for Dallas to win this game than it is for the Lions to win. But it's just as important for the Lions to win the game when it comes to positioning in the playoffs.
Right, because you looking at potentially since and that's wild because I hate it. I really don't think they should do like what the NBA does. If you have a worse record and you a division winner, you have to force to be play on the road.
Mm-hmm.
You shouldn't get a home game.
At all. You should be forced to play on the road and start your series off on the road. And I think that should be implemented in football too. Like if you have a worse record, like you
And you
said,
win your division, you get a playoff game,
you get a
but you
playoff
don't
game,
get
but
a
it's
home
on the road. You don't get that home field advantage because you don't deserve the home field advantage because of your record, Daddy Ed.
game.
Not strength of schedule, not style points in a game, not who's starting at quarterback and who's not. Not well, the superstar wide receiver ain't in either, so we got to decide the playoffs because we got to look at all these different factors. No, it's going off of the record, sir. The record. By a true test.
I feel
But
bad
I'm a
because
realistic Dallas fan. Okay,
I feel bad
I'm
because
not
that
one of
means
those Dallas fans. who sit here and say every year, "Oh, this is our year. Oh, we going to the Super Bowl." And all no. The only thing I do say every single year is to all you Pittsburgh Squealer fans out there. I tell you guys every year that Dallas will win their 6th Super Bowl before the Steelers win their 7th. That's the only thing I'll say about the Dallas Cowboys every single year. Other than that, I ain't be like, oh, yeah, they're going to the Super Bowl this year. We have a chance to make the Super Bowl this season. But how about hashtag divisional round Dak? We get past that divisional round, Dak. That's what I call him. Ask Gabe. I call him that all hashtag divisional round Dak. Because Dak hasn't gotten us past the divisional round since he has entered the National Football League. He has since his rookie year, the furthest he has gotten the Cowboys was to the divisional round game, and we always lose.
No, he said Minnesota in 2047. Good grief.
Fuck it.
Sure,
Thank you,
why
brother.
not?
I hope
Sure,
you
why not?
enjoy your birthday, Carlos.
Yeah, man.
Definitely appreciate you
Happy
pulling
birthday,
up
sir.
and showing up. Before we get up out of here, I gotta make sure we get ready for one of my favorite times of the show. Everybody knows I love mail time. I do. Why are we looping here?
I love it, man. I love it.
Yes, and just so everyone knows, that is the Blues Clues mail time. Yes, it is. All right, our first question comes from my boy Hit, as always. He's got 4 of them for us today. I know y'all want this spring league to work out, but in your honest opinion, do you really think it's going to last?
It can.
It really can.
It can.
There's a lot of potential for this spring football league.
Yep.
Especially merging together.
Mm-hmm.
Because like we were saying earlier, you look at it from a perspective of if we do it the right way this time, we won't have to worry about starting over again.
You got to put this at the beginning of the show, sir.
I think so. I think we're gonna have to switch it up and do the
You got
mail
to
time.
get this at the beginning of the show.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I think it'll be a lot easier to
But I
start.
think it would be good to. I think it really can last, man. I know I've had conversations behind it before. It's like, man, I just don't know because they don't know what they're doing and things like that. But I'm like, then again, I'm sitting back and I'm like,
This may
they're
be
gonna
a
have
good.
some. They're gonna have some venues to play in. So yeah, this could work. And especially if you put in it where one league is going against the other in the same league.
Mm-hmm. That makes it even more entertaining. Like there's a lot of positives that's coming with this merge. A lot of positive guys. So we can't look at it as all negative. Just because they're putting teams on hold doesn't mean those teams won't be back. Doesn't mean that this whole entire league is just deflated before it even gets to really blow up. You know
Okay.
what I mean?
Yeah.
So we like I keep saying, we just have to sit back, support what we're getting. Now, if they put out a product now and it's just total garbage, then I don't expect anybody to support it. But I don't think that's what's going to happen. I think they're going to do it the right way to the best of their ability. And I think we're going to actually get a decent spring football league. And I think we're actually going to get a decent future for the spring football league.
And you can have a great game too.
If they put out a football game for the spring league, oh my gosh. Then you know they're going to the next level. When they're able to put out a video game for the spring football league, then you know the future is bright. Because right now, the problem with spring football is it's like college basketball. players can come in and then they're one and done and move on or get cut. So that's another thing. Are we going to get players that stick around? You know what I mean?
Video game would be perfect because I know they would love to see themselves while they're in the league instead of having to create themselves and say, "Hey, I'm playing in the NFL."
Exactly.
I think that
So
would mean a lot more than just being a one and done type of guy. So that means if they're saying, "Hey, we're putting out a video game. We would love for you guys to stick around," but that means you got to pay them more too.
mhm, definitely. So to answer your question, yes, we both
Yes.
think that it can be successful. It's
Hmm.
just a matter of how they go about it
And
and
what the
what the
game's like.
future has.
Yep.
Exactly. And what the actual on-field game looks like, what we're going to be seeing, and what the product is being given to us from the field itself. So
Hmm.
it's just a waiting game. But and to answer your question, yes, I do think it can last. All right, question 2. Should the award system for football, or mainly the NFL, have a makeover, as y'all been talking about certain positions getting more or less stats? Yeah, bring out the quarterback award and make the MVP award for any skilled positional player.
So that means quarterback, wide receiver, running back, defensive end, cornerback.
Tight end, doesn't matter. Any offensive or defensive skilled player should have an opportunity to win the MVP.
I definitely believe defensive players should really get at the most valuable player award too. I
There
definitely
should
believe that.
be a offensive MVP and a defensive MVP.
If you want to name it after a football player or so, I'm just giving an example. You name it Tom Brady Award for quarterback of the year, right? Or you name the Emmitt Smith Award for running back, wide receiver, the Jerry Rice Award, right?
The Reggie
Um,
White Award for linemen.
yeah. Or yeah, Charles Woodson Award for corners or something, you know,
Mm-hmm.
something where all players can get an opportunity to be
Be
rewarded. Almost
recognized.
like college. It's almost like college, you know what I mean? And your most valuable player, um, that would be I would take it away from the writers and let the players vote it.
Exactly. I've been saying this for so long. Let the players decide the MVP award. Let the
Mm,
players and the fans decide the MVP award.
right. Half of it goes or 40-30% of the vote comes from the fans and then majority of it is from the players and coaches. I want
Mm.
coaches to be involved in it too, so um I think that would work better. And I know that you still have to do a most valuable player though. I know you said with the skilled players and stuff, a lot of times an MVP is going to be a quarterback because without him, it's going to look like they, without the quarterback, how does the running back get the ball? How do the receivers get the ball, right? That's how they get their numbers, right? That's how you get Tom Brady throwing 50 touchdowns in a season and Randy Moss breaking the touchdown record because of Tom Brady. That's how Aaron
Mhm.
Rodgers can throw for 40, 50 touchdowns in a season. And he's the one that's got to do it. You take that out of the picture. Who's going to give him the ball?
No, you're right. You're absolutely right. My whole argument though, this whole time has been, especially when it comes to like the wide receiver and the quarterback. Quarterback can dump the wide receiver the ball 5 yards down the field. The wide receiver takes it 85 yards for a touchdown. That extra 85 yards after that 5 yard catch still goes to the quarterback as well, and it shouldn't.
But how
Like,
how is
that's
how is he going to get it?
air yards
Oh no!
in
So
the
you're trying
air,
to make another
in
stat.
the air. But that's not just making another stat. That's making a quarterback stat. My
You said
quarterback
air
has
yards to yak
thrown,
is what you're doing.
yeah, air yards to yak because How many yards after the catch is the quarterback getting? What is the quarterback doing with his feet now to gain those yards after the catch? The quarterback didn't catch the ball. So why should the quarterback get
But
that?
the
You know what I
quarterback
mean?
threw it. The quarterback has
So
to
give
throw it
him
to
so
get to
give
that point,
him
though.
so give the quarterback his air yard stat. Through the air, he dropped a 30-yard dime. Through the air, he threw for 7 yards, but Debo Samuel took it another 30 yards. That 30 yards should be Debo Samuel's, but
So
that five
basically,
yard, 7 yard pass should go to
you're removing yards
yards after the
after
catch from the
catch
quarterback
from the quarterback is what you're doing.
and adding air yards only. So then when it says, oh, this quarterback is 8 for 9 for 142 yards, well, that will be 142 air yards.
So that
Then you
means
can
you
say,
got
okay, yeah, that man's throwing the ball down the field. He's throwing that rock down the field and giving his players are catching it down the field. And then whatever they do after, okay, now you can say, okay, this quarterback deserves that MVP award because through the air, he averages such and such amount of yards a game. You get what I'm saying? Then I would be more comfortable with saying, okay, yeah, that quarterback deserves to be in the MVP conversation over this wide receiver or this running back. Like right now, this year, there should be no quarterback aside from Lamar Jackson who should be at the top, at the very top of the list. Not even Dak Prescott from the way he's played the last two games. So yeah, I honestly think that making like you said, Reggie White Defensive End of the Year award, or the Charles Woodson Cornerback Award, something like that. You know,
defensive linebacker of the year or something like that.
recognizing great players like Lawrence Taylor. Who would win the Lawrence Taylor Linebacker of the Year award? The best linebacker. You know what I mean? So like they should individualize the awards like that. Like you said, like how college does. All these individual positions get a reward if you're the best throughout that season. So why not? Look at what the NBA did. They went and renamed their awards after players.
Yeah,
So
and I get that, and I see what Ed said that maybe the who deserved it, who deserved it award. But my thing is, um, it's hard, man, especially when you got. I see what you mean by the yards after catch and stuff, but and it would make quarterbacks having to throw more deep down the field to.
to
So
get
it's
their
like let's say they get a 60-yard bomb and then they still run another 20 yards to score. Let's say it was an 80-yard play. So 75, let's say that. Because they usually start at 25, right? So a 60-yard bomb, they catch it at 60 yards, and then the other 15 yards after a catch. All right.
that 15 yards after the catch will go to the running back as their stat. That air yards, though, well, no, you could still keep the. I don't see. It will be hard to even do that too, because are you going to take away those air yards from the wide receiver, even though he made a 60-yard catch? This is where it
I
gets
mean,
complicated. You know what I
that's
mean?
what I'm saying. Stuff can get complicated with that, especially if they, because they like to throw behind them,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean? Or throw laterally, and then they take off. So you taking away from that too?
That's where I'm conflicted because it's like, okay, we could take away the yards of the catch stat from quarterbacks and just give them air yard stats, but do we take away the air yard stat from the wide receiver and just give them the yak? So that's where my confliction is because I would be okay with taking away the yak or the yak from the quarterback and taking away the air yards from the wide receiver because, like you said, I throw you a 60-yard bomb and you catch it 60 yards down the field. That's my 60 yards. You take it the rest of the way to a touchdown. That's your yards. That's what you did.
So that way you taking away yards from them. I see.
You're
But
taking away yards from
that
both.
that would be Yeesh.
It,
That's
but
why they
it
got it
would
the way that they
really
got it.
show, but it would really show what these players are actually doing. Because if I'm a quarterback, you're my wide receiver, and I throw the ball to you 8 yards down the field, but you take it another 90 yards, and now we're down at the 2, that should be your 90 yards. You see what I'm saying? And I should get that 8 yards air pass. Like, I threw the ball, it traveled 8 yards in the air before my receiver caught it and ran down the field and made something happen. You get what I'm saying? So that's why I've
Yeah, I
always
do.
been.
And I'm a stat guy. I love stats, and the thing I'm getting at is, these days, what is a catch, what is not a catch, and where you are on the field compared to that. And you got to be
So
pretty
what if they
prolific.
don't get in the yak, Uncle Daddy Ed? So what? But that's where I'm saying I'm conflicted, because if they don't have a yards after the catch, what stat do they get? So I get that. It would be hard to take away the air yards, and it would be hard to take the air yards away from the wide receiver and keep them having the yak stats. But I think it would be easier to take away the yak stats from a quarterback, keep the air yards and the yak stats for the wide receiver, but just take the yak stats from the quarterback, because they don't deserve it. And at the end of the day, they can throw the ball 75 yards down the field. If the receiver don't catch it, that 75 yards don't matter.
So what happens then if they doing a flea flicker,
With the
or
flea
the running
flicker,
or the running back is doing the throwing instead?
then you give the running back that passing stat. 1 for 1. Let's say he completed that one pass. 1 for 1, and however far the ball traveled through the air before it's caught, that will be his stat. Oh, he went 1 for 1 for 35 yards. Or 37 yards, because that's how long the ball was in the air. Or, that's how far the ball traveled in the air before the wide receiver caught it and did whatever they did with it. I would be comfortable taking away the yak stat away from the quarterback, but keeping the air stat with the wide receiver, because they have to still catch that ball 60 yards, 70 yards, 20 yards down the field.
Okay. All
So
right.
I would take away the yak stat from the quarterback and give the air yards to the quarterback only, but also keep the air yards and the yak stat with the wide receiver. That way, when it comes down to these races, I can say, well, this quarterback deserves to be in the MVP because they threw for 3,000 yards in the air. You get what I'm saying? Not 1,000 yards in the air, and their receivers did the other 2,000 yards worth of work. You know what I mean? So he said, "You're making me tired, Jersey. I need a nap. I'm supposed to be on vacation, not trying to write
Write
a
a
yak."
yak formula.
Blame hit, Daddy Ed, with the damn question. Blame hit. No, but thank you, brother. We got 2 more, and we're out of here. It says, since we know as of right now, this new spring league don't care about how their fans feel, so to speak, how do you think they will draw in more people?
Marketing. That's it.
Plain and
Marketing.
simple.
Marketing.
In every way.
Better marketing. Mm-hmm.
TV, audio, or TV, audio, visual, even if it's not a commercial,
Visual marketing.
just
Yep.
marketing in
Take it or
general.
leave it.
That's the
Take it or leave
only
it.
way.
Yep. It's marketing.
And then
All right.
that word of mouth.
Yeah.
Because if I'm like, hey, yo, A-Train, did you see that Sea Dragons St. Louis game?
Oh man, I missed it. Let me go ahead and check it out, yo. You know what I'm saying? I get you.
Now you got people who like spring football. There's still football going on. Even them people, hey, yo, come check this out. Come watch this game with me. Or your buddy who don't really watch spring football comes over and you're watching the game. He's like, oh, there's football on? Oh, yeah, this is spring football. Oh, word? Yeah. The next thing you know, you done brought somebody else in. And then they call up their buddy, yo, check out the spring football league game, man. These kids are balling over here, blah, 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 blah. Next thing you know, it just word of mouth and just all around marketing, man. That's the only way this league is going to survive. is marketing and just having a good product. That's it. All right. Last question. It's a two-parter because I couldn't put everything on one. If you had to pick right now, would you rather put more effort podcast wise towards football that is actually happening instead of something that is not even set in stone? If nothing major is happening news wise, why still put effort toward it? Mm.
Okay, I think because we've been on that stage before.
Yeah,
I'm talking about me and Dirty when we do our show. Like, why y'all still doing it? Well, we did it because we want to see what the game is gonna look like. And when we first started it, we put a whole lot of effort into something that had nothing. And people started listening and people started watching, and you know, that's what it became. It started becoming fun and stuff. And we had fantasy ideas of what we wanted to see, um, how the game we wanted to look, what the colors is gonna look like, stadiums that they're gonna play in. It was like you was having your own fantasy football in front of you, like you're having your own game. Like so, when the XFL in 2020 did the Fan Advisory Network, that was fantasy football stuff. That's
yeah,
what we wanted to see in the game, right? They try to do that again with the huddle. Kind of gave it a similar thing to it. I hope they do something with it in 2024 because it actually was something that was implemented because when Vince McMahon said in 2019, 2018, he said, I'm giving the game back to fans. That's literally what he did.
he did. He put the game in our hands in multiple ways. That's why
And
I
I,
say people can't be, not to cut you off. That's why I say people can't be upset with Vince McMahon because the way he went about it the second time around, at least, if the pandemic wouldn't have shut down spring football in 2020, I think the XFL would have been on their third season, and The Rock and Danny Garcia wouldn't even be a part of it.
I would have said the same thing if it wasn't for the fact that Vince McMahon was already in trouble financially anyway.
Yeah, true, true, true. But he could have got investors. You know what I mean? That's when you bring in Redbird Capital. That's when you bring in people like Danny and The Rock. Hey, just come in and just throw some money in. You know what I mean? Just throw some money in and help keep us out of the red.
He's saying if there's no major news or news while still trying to push the horse to water when they don't want to drink, but I understand why y'all still talk about it. I get it. I get that. But, it was like it became a like, do you want to still do it and whatnot? And that's why you have shows where you can still talk about professional football. Because believe it or not, there are other leagues around. It's just that do you want to look at them and cover it? Like the
Right.
European League of Football is another one. And of course, all these arena leagues that's around. So um, there's football that's to be played professionally.
And you
You
know
know what I
what's
mean?
crazy? For the USFL and XFL to be possibly taking on the name of the United Football League, doesn't that kind of baffle you how the United Football League came back this past season? But you wouldn't have known unless you subscribed to their app to watch their games and paid $10 a month to watch their games. So nobody even knew that the UFL still existed because people weren't covering it. People weren't watching the games. That's why they just folded completely.
Well, they folded completely because the person that was running it is not a good person to run it in the first place.
Very true. Very true. I ain't want to
That's
put
what
them on
we.
blast
That's,
like that.
yeah, I
I ain't want to put them on blast like that, but hey, the truth hurts, man. And the current or the previous owner of the UFL tried to bring it back 2023, 14 teams, but they went about it to where there was no national coverage whatsoever.
And then you got put it in cities that cities wasn't even involved in saying, "Hey, that we're gonna put a team in your city." What?
They had what, the Roanoke? They had teams in what it was like Richmond, Virginia.
Man, they were trying to put a team in Sauget, Illinois for St. Louis.
Yeah, I said,
Sauget,
yo, what is this?
Sauget, Illinois. Sauce. They put
Charleston,
it
South Carolina.
and they was putting it in a ballpark, not a. They put it in a baseball park for a
And I'm
football game.
like, you can't do that. The only football slash baseball stadium that works like that is the Coliseum,
Well,
where the
City
Raiders used to play at, and the
City Field,
USC
Yankee
Trojans
Stadium, Fenway Park, they can convert theirs into stadiums, but they weren't gonna do it for somebody they didn't know or trust.
at all. And with the UFL being a league that they did not trust, this is why we're now seeing the possible name being converted over to this new merge league. So that's why we do this hit, because regardless, there's still football to talk about. As you've seen, A Train and Dirty has been doing this since before 2020, and they've gone from having a very small audience to being one of the biggest XFL podcast shows out there. And don't get me wrong, how long did it take you guys? Good 4, 5 years. But look where they're at now. Never have a show with less than 10 people watching. You know what I mean? Because people are interested in what they have to say, because they're bringing legitimate news. And a lot of the legitimate news that they're bringing us is directly from the league. So that's why we still do this, because there's still football news, regardless. Even if it's not set in stone, it gives us something to talk about.
Yeah, when the league puts it out, that's when we say something.
Even if we do a bunch of rumor or speculations and we come on the show and, hey, look, this is strictly speculation on this show today. Everything we're talking about is strictly speculation on this show, this, that, and the third. That's why. That's why we still cover these. That's why we still come on our podcast shows and still talk about the spring football league when the NFL ain't going on. That's why I still do the NFL. I still do this show on Saturdays, even when the NFL season is not on. Why?
Because
Because
talk
there's
about the
still
draft,
football to
man.
talk about. Exactly. There's still football to talk about. And now with us having the spring leagues in the spring, we can cover that. Because there's former NFL players in these spring leagues. There's former NFL players in these indoor leagues. There's former college players who went undrafted and never made it onto an NFL team, but went to the AFL or the Indoor Football League or the Canadian Football League and made a name for themselves. So, regardless, there's still football to talk about, whether it's set in stone or not. There's still football to talk about. And this is why we literally sit here and talk about this every week, because it doesn't have to be set in stone for us. It's just something for us to talk about with our viewers and something for us to speculate about. Because then when we start putting our speculation in, sometimes, hell, you hear dirty all the damn time. I was right. I was right. So it's just things like that that just keeps us as podcasters and hosts intrigued on doing it, even if there isn't no, right away news or breaking news and things like that. It's still something to cover. Would you agree with that, Adrian?
Yep. Hmm.
So that's just how it is, man. You get a lot. There's a lot of people out there, who still talk about musicians who are no longer here, but they get viewers and they get people who reminisce with them, and they're like, "Yeah, I remember this. Oh, I remember I went to a concert to watch Michael Jackson when he was this age, and then I went and seen him again when he was this age." Like, there's really shows out there where they just talk about stuff that's not relevant right this moment in time, or right at this moment in time. You know what I mean? So it's just a matter of having a love for the game of football, for one, which I have a love for the game of football. So I'm going to talk about it any chance I get. You know what I mean? Because I love the game of football over all other sports. And I'm a huge sports fanatic. But football is where I have the most knowledge. Football is where I have the most interest. So I'm going to talk about it regardless.
Yep.
But
Man, thank you so much, dude. I didn't expect it to go Yes,
I didn't either. I was expecting like an hour and a half at the most. But
a
that
lot of people chimed in. So
yeah, that merge conversation took it to a whole nother level. And like you said, a lot of people chimed in and it was a great show, man. Thank you all. Thank you all for showing up today. We got a lot of likes, a lot of love for both YouTube and for Facebook. And even with Gabe not being here, A Train, I want to thank you for jumping on today and showing me a lot of love, reaching out to me and wanting to come on for sure. That's huge because I wasn't expecting this show to go this way today. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I was not expecting the show to go this way today. I was expecting to be off of here about an hour and a half in, maybe 2 hours at the most. So I want to thank you as well. And to everybody watching, you already know you can send your fan mail questions over to the Gridiron Podcast at gmail.com. Make sure it's the with an A, the Gridiron Podcast at Gmail. And you can send your questions in. And as you see, I do it every week. I ask and answer the questions right here live on the show. Um, Gabe was not here today. Like I said, he has to work. He may not be here the next 2 weeks either. So just be prepared for that. But you guys go and follow him. Make sure you check him out on all his social media platforms. And if you'd like to send over any fan mail questions to Gridiron Nation Podcast, send it right there to Gridiron Nation Podcast at gmail.com. And like I said, man, thank you all for making this show spectacular today and keeping me on my toes. Daddy Ed, I love you, man. You make it fun for me when I talk about certain topics because I know when you chime in, I got something to rant about. The
hey,
best in the
brother,
world.
happy New Year to you too, man.
Yes, sir. Happy New Year, man. And speaking of New Year, the Gridiron has some new things coming for the new year. So you guys be ready for that. I'm talking a new intro song done specifically by Double G, OG, Gabriel Garcia. It's gonna be lit, man. I'm excited. We got some things in the works for the show. Like I said, we're supposed to be we're looking to bring on a call-in number so that you guys can literally call in and chop it up with us on the air live. And we're gonna use that beautiful rotary phone right there.
That's gonna be amazing, dude.
We're talking real rotary. It works, y'all. Like you
Oh
gotta
my
actually,
gosh.
yeah. So it's gonna be fun, man. We're bringing in more stuff to make the show a lot more interactive for you guys. Javier, happy New Year to you. Ed, happy New Year. David, happy New Year. Daddy Ed, happy New Year. B, Sandy, Elizabeth, everybody who tuned in. Vance, John. I'm going through all the names. The hell with it. DJP, Will Freeman. Happy New Year's to all of you guys. Dave Burnett, Odin. I mean, there's so many
Dirt,
people that showed
and
up
to Dirty,
today.
happy New Year, man. So
Dirty, Happy New Year. Flame, Happy New Year. Min Quan Dang, Happy New Year. New chatter. Carlos, happy birthday and Happy New Year, my brother. John, thank you. You're always welcome to come in and debate with me. I love it when you guys do that, man. It's so fun. Just come in, let me rant. We can talk our crap. We can have fun, and that's just what it is. Dirty, you're never right. You just speculate wrong or speculate right sometimes. It's not that you were right and like you knew. Just saying. Robert, thank you for being here today, man. Champ, thank you, brother. And everyone else that showed up. If I missed you, please know that it wasn't on purpose. Thank you to my beautiful wife for watching and supporting me as she always does, the lovely Nini. And to everyone that shows up every single week. I love you guys, man. I love you guys. And I thank you for supporting the Gridiron Podcast Show. I thank you for supporting the X Fan Show. I thank you for supporting the X Fan Legion of shows and just keeping us going because you guys do and you have no idea how much it means to us. So, again, Happy New Year to everyone. Happy 2024 to everyone. This year's going to be bright, guys. We got a lot of things coming for the X Fan Show, the Gridiron Podcast, Gridiron Nation, XFL Insider. I mean, there's so many shows that you guys got to be prepared for this season, man, and this year in 2024. So happy New Year's, everyone. Until next week, I am Jersey the King. Special guest, the one and only, the man, the myth, the legend, A-Train, from the A-Train Show, the X Fan Show, the B-Hawk Live Show. Well, there's too many shows. He's even got a Slam Ball show, guys. So go check out the Slam Ball show. I can't wait till that show comes back because we got a lot of talk. The Mob champions next year. The Mob's going to be champions again next year. So just be prepared for that in Slam Ball, y'all.
All right, y'all.
Just remember, dirty is always right.
What?
I will do no such thing. Because A-Train has called you out a lot of times and proven you wrong, sir. I've been there for him.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
A-Train, make sure you go ahead and get your 15 seconds, brother. Tell them where they can find you, Dirty, and the X-Fan crew.
Well, apparently after tomorrow, we're going to have a new name or so for the show. So, well, first, you can always follow me at the A-Train Show on Twitter. You can follow me. You can follow X Fan Legion, which that's probably going to be changed. X Fan Show is going to be changed a bit. So for right now, until the first of the new year, follow me at the A-Train Show. We'll get everything squared away on where you can follow.
Word up. You guys hear it first. Happy New Year to you, brother. And again, thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. Thank you all for being here and watching and supporting the Gridiron podcast. And like always, it's been a great show. It's going to be a great week. Enjoy your New Year's. Safe travels for anyone traveling on New Year's. If you're coming to Vegas, come holla at me. Because Vegas is the best place to be for New Year's. That's all I'm going to say. The best place to be. It's better. It's even better than Times Square. So bring y'all ass down to Vegas and we'll have some fun. This is the Gridiron Podcast Show. I will see you all next week. It's your boy, Jersey the King. Holla at me.